What's up, good people? We back in the building once again. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all saw the thumbnail. I had it sitting there advertising it for a while because I got the one and only Black Ram in the building today. We about to get this thing started. I'd like to welcome everybody who's already in the building and those coming in, those catching on the restream. Make sure you hit the like button. We about to get this thing started. So let's go, let's go, let's go.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
What's up, good people? Back in the building once again. As always, shout out to the early bird squad, those that make it in bright and early, dropping comments and likes. Before I even get things started here, says Trinity Time Travel says first, and get rid of that icon, that avatar picture. Get rid of that one. too early for all that. Shout out to you. Thanks for coming on in. He says Nike MVP came through with the second comment. Appreciate all y'all. Ricardo Rodney in the building. He says, what's up with the elbow coughs? Are you always elbow coughing, man? Genesville, happy harassment day, everybody. Y'all clowning early. Melody in the building, dropping all the links. Y'all see the links right there. Go ahead and hit the Cash App. If you hit the Cash App, like, subscribe, share, do all those good things. Y'all see the Patreon links right there. The Patreon been kind of quiet lately. Need some more people to go ahead and check out the Patreon page. I've been putting more exclusive content on there lately. Because I don't leave all of my live streams up. I take some of them down. Those ones go right to the Patreon. So you want to be checking out the Patreon. Shout out to M. Perry in the building. Says, Ram in the house. Oh, definitely. You know it's going down. Third Ward Colombian in the building says, what's good, BR? What's good with you, Third Ward? Says, salute to Black Ram. And some bonus DS. Okay, yeah, you trying to holler at Melody in Spanish. I see you, player. All right. Who else we got in here? BK Hammer in the building. He says, peace to the chat. Should be a good show, Bernard Riley. Absolutely. And got to shout out my man, Counselor Murray. Says, because it's therapeutic, man. Shout out to Consular Murray came on through. Appreciate Consular Murray. Who else we got in here? Dark Knight Mentality. I probably could make it down. I ain't gonna make it to the bottom of the list because it's moving now. Aaron B. New. Who else we got in here? Leo Anthony in the building. I might make it. Yeah, I made it to the bottom. Made it to the bottom of the list. Made it to the bottom of the list. Olu TV. I think I'm saying that right. AKA Falcon Black in the building. What's up to you? Salute and shout out. So without further ado, gotta formally bring up the man of the hour, Mr. BlackRam313 in the building. What is going on, my brother?
Yes, sir. BlackRam313 here live with Bernard Riley. Good to be here, dear brother. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, This should definitely be a good one. I'm glad to have you here. I was telling everybody in the back chat, I thought he had the 16th chapel behind him, though. I like that. I like that background work that you did right there. Yeah,
library, right?
Yeah. Got all those. That's the Library of Alexandria. Yeah, he got it hooked up back there. But yeah, we're going to get into a number of things. The main topic is your journey to the red pill. I love when people tell their origin stories, and I know a lot of people have told them on their channels, and it gets lost in all the content, and people forget about it, don't know. I think it was a few years ago. I think I heard you touching on it, and it was interesting. You was telling some stories, back. Black Ram wasn't always so red pill. You had to learn some things the hard way. And so I love going back and talking about all those things. But before we get into that, one thing that I definitely want to touch on, it's a corny question I got from O'Shea when he always used to ask people when he interviewed them, how did you even get involved in this space? Because I understand it, right? You've been around forever, like 6-8 years, if I'm not mistaken. So how did you even... Go ahead.
Yeah, going on 8 years. I started off by listening to a gentleman named The Last Crucible and Adigun Forrest, who later formed Ibmore. And as well as listening to them, I was listening to guys like Stardust and Barbarossa of the MGT and, the rest community. And I see the brother X is in the building. Always good to see that brother. I'm supposed to be on a show soon, but man, I get up early in the morning, man. So we're going to have to do something about that. All right. So yeah, I was watching those gentlemen and listening to some of the things that they were saying, and it just resonated with me. So much so that I was always commenting in their comment sections, and then I decided one day that, you know what, I have something to say too. And got the channel from there. And I would write my topics. All I had was one video camera, and I'm not the most technically sound person, so to speak. So I would start by just writing the topic on the wall and facing the video camera toward the wall and speak directly into the video camera, because at that time I wasn't showing my face. In fact, I only started showing my face appearing probably about 3 years ago. It was one of those things where in the community, it was just more about the message. But as technology got better, you can live stream and all that, because I was here before there was a super chat, before there was a live stream, before there was any cash app. So we would just do our videos mainly just on the subject and not show our faces, but some still don't show, like people like BGS and so on and so forth. But yeah, I've been here for a little while, man. I got to see a lot of people. Another group of guys that inspired me was Rick Scorpio, a gentleman named Thug Titian Wisdom, and Sergeant Willie P, and K Soul and Black. So those are the OGs, the originators of the sector, and had been around for a number, at least a couple of years before I started even talking. I think I started my channel back in 2013.
Yeah, so you would technically be considered, even though I don't get all into the 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 debate, you would technically be a 1.0er, basically.
Yeah, maybe like 1.5.
Yeah.
To be technical, maybe one, because I was a little bit after. I want to say the originators, pretty much Sergeant Willie P, Thug Titian Wisdom, and K Soul and Black. So I was like maybe a year or two, about 2 years after them, 2 to 3 years after them. They maybe started around 2010, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, 2 or 3 years after them. And then I came along, then BGS Ibmore came along. and then other guys came along. But yeah, I would say maybe 1.5 basically, because I don't want to put myself in their category because they started it all.
Yeah. Yeah, right on. Fast Attack Tough coming through bright and early with a super chat. He says, my man Ram, this is therapeutic, man. Shout out to Fast Attack Tough. Appreciate you coming on through. And my man New, who always hits the cash app. Always hits the cash app. I want to see if you dropped a message with it. I don't know if you dropped a message or not, but you definitely see that you hit the cash app. Yeah, he just says, peace to you and Black Ram. Shout out to New for always coming through, always showing that support. We appreciate you. So yeah, so let's get into that. When I met you, you kind of answered my second question, because I was about to ask you, because for a long time I just saw you just with the icon picture. I didn't know it was 3 years ago when you cammed up. I didn't know that I didn't notice that you had started doing that until you and Oheen and more of Male Enlightenment TV, when y'all was doing the Real Pill Perspective. That's the first time I actually noticed. So I was that's what I thought it was. I thought Oheen got you to do it. That's what I thought. I thought he twisted your arm like, come on, man.
Right. No, I had started doing a few live streams a couple of years back, and I would only show my face during the live stream, of course.
Oh, okay, that's cool. But moderators, this goes without saying. Y'all already know how I do. Some of y'all do it without me. Okay, Ricardo Rodney already on it, right as I was saying it. Ricardo Rodney's already on it. I was like, go ahead and spam the chat with Black Ram's links, even to his he got backup channels, so get all his channels floating around in there. Yeah, go ahead and spam it out with that. For the 2 or 3 people that ain't subscribed to Black Ram, the brother has a wealth of knowledge over there. You can go back through his archives and pull out stuff that's still rock solid today. You if you find something 5-6 years ago, I guarantee it's relevant and hitting with the same potency today. So the brother has been on on a very focused message, on a focused path, and yeah, so that's definitely something you want to make sure you're doing, because I keep finding out I got new somehow the algorithm brought me in some new people that were not in this space, because some I talked to some of my subscribers. A lot of them they don't be even knowing who some of the big names are, and I'd be like, dude, you're not subscribed to him, so I be thinking I just piggybacked a bunch of subs, but no, I actually got some new ones. So I had to always remember when I did a one-on-one with Angry Man, I'd be forgetting that it's people who may not be subbed. So the few of you out there that's not subbed to Black Ram, you're doing yourself a disservice. You definitely want to be subscribed. So make sure you go ahead and do that. Shout out to what did that say? Mega Montana. Shout out to you. He says, peace to the OG Black Ram 313. Shout out to Melody with the super sticker. Real quick, Black Ram, give her a rating. No, I'm just playing. You like to rate them.
You know how we do it at the Real Pill Perspective. Huh?
You do it for a quick rating. No, don't put Melody on the spot. Don't put her on the spot. It's early. But yeah, this whole thing. So yeah, I guess we got 100 people in here. I guess we could get officially started. 114 people in here. Make sure y'all hitting that like button. We can go ahead and get started. Tell us about your red pill journey. Start out all the way in the back. I want to hear a story that people won't believe when you how the great Black Ram was simping many moons ago back in '87. I want to hear about. I want to hear all of it.
Well, since you want to go all the way back, I'll do just that. So I had a series of experiences that brought me to the way of thinking, to the red pill, so to speak. The earliest experience I can remember, which is probably actually the most embarrassing one, but you got to give me a pass because I was so young, man. And I was about 6 years old, brother.
You really went back.
Yeah, way back, right? But this was my first real experience with women, right? And this little girl, her name was Ethel, and she was just the cutest little thing. Kind of reminded you of Tweety Bird, had a little big old head, but we kids, right? And I liked Ethel a lot. So what I would do is I had a little bank at home, a little vitamin jar that I would put my little pennies in, and if somebody gave me $1 or if I found a quarter, I'll put it in my little vitamin, my little literally Flintstone vitamin jar. And I like Ethel, and I don't know where I got this from, man. So I would take that whole jar and give it to Ethel, man. The whole jar. And I just thought it was a thing to do. I don't remember anybody telling me that.
You was giving Ethel your life savings, man.
Exactly. So I would bring it to school, like maybe once a week. I would sneak it to school because my mother would walk me, man. And I would give it to her, and she would be thankful for it and everything. But it was another guy, another guy named Dewan I come to find I was doing the exact same thing. So one day, Ethel's sister, who was probably like in 8th grade, came to pick her up. And she was like, well, dang, you're getting all the money from these men. And I was crushed, even at that age. I'm like, wow, she is using me and using this other guy. I was mad at the other guy too. And I couldn't believe that she would do this to me because, I thought we were married. This is 6 years old. So I really took offense to that. And that started me to look at, all, females with a slight eye at that point. But after that, the realest experience I had was this. Growing up in the streets of Chicago, and I'm sure many Black men have the same experience. Growing up in the streets of Chicago, if you were from a certain block, you had to pretty much be down with that block. It wasn't necessarily a thing that you wanted to be down with this group of people, but you just had to be because you're from that block. Mm-hmm. And in Chicago, if you're from this block and they have beef with the other block and you are not making your association with the block you're on, you can get hurt over and over again without any recourse because you have no backing. It's like being on television without any sponsors. You're just all out there. So I had to, hang out with a certain group of individuals for safety and protection. And in doing this, I became more aggressive and started to get involved in more and more stuff. Nothing criminal. But, I looked at myself as a real tough guy. And I had quite a few fights, maybe from the ages of like 12 to like 16, maybe about 50 or 60 fights. Some that would happen all the time. I would win some, lose some, of course. And I remember one day in high school, I was just like the movies, man. I was in a restaurant getting some chicken and some fries and with mild sauce on it. If you know,
what kind of sauce was that?
Mild sauce. That's a Chicago thing.
Okay.
But so yeah, and this woman walked up to me and she was like, "Hey," and I didn't know who she was. And then she told me, "Yeah, I got a class with you." And I was like, "Really?" I didn't know her. Come to find out, I was quite the popular guy. Now, in the hood, what you will have is BWs pretty much cheerleading the dysfunction that goes on. The street pharmaceuticals, the loitering that goes on in the hood, the violence. They would pretty much cheerlead.
So you unknowingly, if I understand it right, you unknowingly got popular with the ladies from those 50, 60 fights that you had been in, that you had.
Yeah, and carrying myself like a tough guy.
Yeah, okay.
Really stupid idea, you know what I mean? Really stupid thing to do. And the females in the neighborhood would, they were like more like cheerleaders. They really respected and admired and were attracted to guys who were always involved in some sort of mischief. So I became popular with the ladies and, slept with many at that time. And I heard a woman say once that she's not going to give any man any pee unless he, sells pharmaceuticals and has rims on his car. And in being involved with these people, one day I'm outside and we heard a buddy of mine had got shot. Didn't know exactly what his fate was. So we went over there to the people who had shot him, about maybe 40 or 50 of us. And then these guys who we went to go see about pulled out a street sweeper. It's just a street fancy name for pretty much an automatic assault rifle.
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
Yeah. So when we went over there, when we marched over there, you know, they put out heavy automatic weapons and chased us off from the area and started shooting at us. And I was like, man, this is ridiculous. Come to find out that the guy who got killed, you know, tried to, you know, sell a product in their neighborhood. So basically was in the wrong, but ended up getting killed. And then shortly after that, I had a buddy who got shot. The bullet hit him so hard it knocked his shoes off, actually shot his heart out of his chest. And I was like, man, you know what? This really ain't the life for me. I was fine when it was knuckles because I grew up in that small little era where it was mainly fist fights.
Yeah.
And at the most, knife fight. So I was right at the era in the 90s where it transitioned in Chicago from hands and knives to guns. And I was like, you know what? I'm done with this, man. I mean, this stuff ain't worth dying over. Sure, I had fun. The camaraderie was great. The brotherhood was great. It was fun, enjoyable. I didn't mind taking my beatings in a fist fight if a guy caught me out of the area. You know, not that I didn't mind, but, you know, I could accept that. Okay, you caught me slipping. You know, 3 guys jump me. I get you. When I see you, I'm going to get you. I'm cool with that because you get to live another day. You may have a black eye, you may have a few bruises, but cool. You know, I've been beat and stomped by 3-4 guys at a time. Okay, you know, when I caught them, return the favor. And sometimes I was the initiator of such. I would see a guy, hey man, ain't that dude from over there? Or, yeah, let's go get him. And we would, you know, beat the brakes off of him. I was okay with that, man. But when guys started losing their lives, I was like, you know what? I got to go. Got to get out of there.
Yeah.
And it was when I decided to change my life around. I went from being real popular with the ladies to being considered a no one just because I wanted to live. So I decided to go to school every day because I would, you know, freshman year I would go and ditch. And, you know, I got quite a few F's the first year and almost failed and was thinking about dropping out. And all of my friends that I hung out with, every last one of them that went to the high school that I went to dropped out. Every last one of them. When I was in high school, we started off with like 836 freshmen class in the freshman class. When I graduated from high school, it was literally 199, literally. That many had dropped out. So I decided to go to school and study and go ahead on and, you know, get the diploma. And I was rejected. And at that time, it really hurt. That level of rejection, I'm like, wow, when I'm putting my life in danger, you like me. But when I get on a level of more positivity, you know, I'm not a Muslim, but I started reading books by the Nation of Islam. I started going to Mosque Mariam in Chicago, Minister Louis Farrakhan. I went to a local Muhammad's mosque in the neighborhood and talked to those guys. And they were the ones who were instrumental in getting me out of that lifestyle. Very instrumental in doing that. And it was at that time, I'm like, wow, I cannot believe that I was rejected. So I actually tried to start to wake up the minds of the people that I was around. Because at this time, I'm like 15, 16 years old. And I'm thinking it has to be a better way than this. Because again, that was the whole transitory period from fist to guns. And in the 90s, it got really, really violent in the streets of Chicago, primarily on the west side. And then, of course, it spread out to the south side of Chicago. I see Male Enlightenment Television in the house.
Oh yeah, I was just about to push pause to acknowledge the super chats, but I got to write something down because I just realized something. I want to ask you about Chicago once we get going a little later on in here. Gotta hit you with the questions because you know whenever Black people get to talking about all the problems in the community first thing, and so yeah, but what about all that's going on in Chicago? If you down in the eye of the storms, I'm asking you some very specific questions about Chicago. But Ricardo Rodney in the building with the super chat, appreciate you, brother. And we also got Wayman Brown says Ram the legend in the building. Absolutely. Mel Enlightenment TV, who I always shout out. My initial startup in this space, it's sort of tied to him a little bit. He was the first content creator that really acknowledged me. I mean, he was still small potatoes back then too. He was closing in on 1,000 subs, but you know he acknowledged me and he shouted me out in the video because I made some content that he liked and he made a video piggybacking off it and gave me a shout out and I picked up about 150 subs off that one, probably 200 I picked up a lot. Off that. So yeah, I definitely always respect Oheen for that. But shout out to him. He says, I don't know who Ram is talking about, but it's not my girl. She said she would never do that to me. I'm the only one. She said I'm the bestest.
Shout out to my brother Maryland Lightman Television, Oheen Amara. Real pure perspective in the building. Salute, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we got Donovan. Here I go. Can't see now. Donovan Wood in the building. He says, legend in the building. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you, everybody who's coming on through. All right, go ahead. Hopefully you held your thought. People, I lose focus real easy. Got the little adult ADD be kicking in here and there. Hopefully you maintained your place. Kwame Triple X in the building. He says, yo, Ram, what was the beat? Okay, I don't know what
okay, I can answer that. You can write it down and we can go back to that.
Well, no, you go ahead and answer it briefly right now. I mean, I take it as something you can answer briefly. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Basically, the guy was accusing men who travel overseas as being pedos. Just period. If you want to travel overseas, they've automatically made you a pedo. And I'm the type of person that keeps quiet. I'm in the cut, but when he started falsely accusing guys of criminality just because they desire to travel, first I was heartbroken because I had a lot of respect for the brother, and secondly I was angry because we have to battle white supremacy, we have to battle each other, and this is supposed to be a space that uplifts me and not puts him down. So for him to just come up and say, hey man, you're a pedo if you travel, I thought that was wrong. And then he went on a whole tirade from there and did a series of videos, did maybe a couple of replies, but he went on to literally do about 20 hours worth of videos against me. And I think I did maybe 15, 20 minutes of video. And then I decided that wasn't really, that's not my thing. I'm not a beef person. So I just left the guy alone and unsubscribed from his channel and never spoke of him again until you asked the question for me.
All right. But yeah. My very brief thoughts on that, not about Ringo, because I don't know. I mean, I'm there's people in this space who I hear about that I just, for what it's so many content creators I'm subscribed to. It's some of them that just I just end up I don't know a whole lot about him. I didn't even know a lot about y'all beef, so that lets you know how I don't have my ear to the streets on all this stuff. But I do know it was a lot of controversy about brothers who was traveling, and I can say this as somebody who, I mean, I live in Michigan, so going to Canada ain't nothing. So the only country I've been, the only time I've been out the States is to go to Canada. As somebody who's never, never put a passport in the air, as y'all say, I thought that was crazy that people was just charging brothers up. I mean, it was, I didn't get that. And there was a lot of people I respected who got involved in the charging people up or finding reasons why brothers shouldn't travel. I mean,
exactly.
Like really, like exactly. even if it is some effery that go on overseas, but don't just charge a brother up because he's traveling. It made no sense to me. So yeah, that was. Go ahead.
And if an adult male wants to go overseas and enjoy the company of an adult female in any way he likes, that's his business. If one guy thinks we're not in high school, what I notice about this space to act like we're in high school. If one guy think that's lame, then so what? So what?
Yeah,
I don't live by the ideas and mindset of others. I live in my own world. So if a guy goes to Brazil like I have twice, and I decide to enjoy the company of a woman, as long as it's not illegal, I mean, who business is that? But again, a lot of guys are actually in this space to tear the brothers down. So, I really wouldn't say it was a beef. I just had, a few opinions about what he had said. And, I left it alone because that's not really my thing, getting into it. I'm here to uplift the brotherhood. I'm here to be a part of a brotherhood. So I'm not here to go back and forth. So that was pretty much the only issue I've ever had. And I decided, you know what? The guys who actually like his videos and like what he's saying, they're going to continue to support him. And I'm just going to distance myself from that kind of talk. Because again, if you are in this space to tear brothers down, man, and guys still like that, then that's people in places that I don't want to associate with. It should be about we have enough problems. We should be about uplifting each other and strengthening each other and having conversations, not tearing each other down and spitting venom. So, I even was upset with myself for even giving the negative energy to the situation. So I just left it alone.
Well, you did good. If he gave roughly 20 hours of content on you and you only gave 15, 20 minutes, that you did it perfectly, because anytime there's been times I've had to address something. I didn't put nobody's name in the title. I didn't make a big production out of it. I did my regular content. I just said we're taking a brief 5-minute pause in the action. I just spent 5 minutes addressing the issue and then just set it down and ignored whatever reply somebody had. Like that's how I do it. I'm not about to be beefing back and forth, doing back and forth beef videos and all of that. That's not me, and I'll never get tied down or wrapped into that. Abdul Jones, I didn't know you didn't have a wrench, man. During Wrenchgate, when I took away all the wrenches, I told everybody the wrenches will be returned in 2 to 3 business days. Using one of the your wrench got lost in the mail, brother. Your wrench got lost in the mail. I apologize. Yeah, because I was trying to do something where I was going to have, Patreons have wrenches, but then there's some people who just don't like to do Patreon, and they like Abdul Jones, who he might be a Patreon, but some people just like to drop 20 on it every now and then, but they just don't want to do Patreon for whatever reason. So I was like, yeah, y'all got a good point. I ain't go, So I went on and changed my mind on that one. And a couple people who I didn't even like found out, oh, we can buy a wrench now. So they just became Patreons. So that's why I called it Wrenchgate, because I had to go back on my word and give a lot of people their wrenches back. But I somehow forgot my man Abdul Jones, who I always support. I didn't know you didn't have a wrench, man. It's hard to keep track of all that. So you got it. You got it back now. You got it back now. There you go. That's my man. But all right, get in back on the topic at hand. Go ahead. Hopefully you remember where you was at.
Yeah. So when I decided to change my life, man, and actually try to be someone in the community who actually was about uplifting the community. So, I was out there with my little suit and bow tie on, and I would have the Final Call newspaper. I was FOI processing.
Oh, okay. You was out there pumping them bean pies. You was.
Oh yeah, man. Bean pies are delicious. Now, I'm not a Muslim, but I was over the bean pies in the Final Call, man, and Minister Louis Farrakhan's books and ideas, man, and I pretty much was laughed off the block, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, I'm out here trying to change my life, and instead of being destructive, I'm trying to be productive. And not only was I rejected by the BW, I was rejected by pretty much everybody in the neighborhood, and became unpopular to almost invisible. And what I gathered out of that is that I was like, wow, the succubus, as I refer to the creature as, actually promotes the dysfunction and rewards the dysfunction, and pretty much ridicules anyone who is not a part of the dysfunction. And I knew we had a problem. You can say what you want to say about females in general, but this succubus, and the reason why I give her such a title is because that is completely demonic. So if I'm not involved in street pharmaceuticals, if I'm not involved in a neighborhood war, I'm less than the man. And I don't care about the physical rejection. That's fine, but to literally put me down because I don't want to be a part of the dysfunction, I knew it was something wrong with the creature.
Yeah, I'm laughing because Jessica X, who's from I don't know if you know who she is. She's from the other side of the Atlantic Ocean over there in London somewhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had no idea what he's talking about with the bean pies, and that's why.
What is a bean? I think Jessica would really like a bean pie. It's basically a pie with navy beans at the base. Now it sounds like it's not tasty, but you don't taste. It's not a bean flavor. The navy bean gives it the texture. But listen, I'm telling you, if you've never had a bean pie, I guarantee if you tried, you would love it. It's better than, put it like this. If you like sweet potato pie, a bean pie is better than a sweet potato pie.
If I'm not mistaken, maybe I ate one and didn't know, but I don't think I've ever had one of those bean pies that the Nation of Islam be out there selling. I don't.
Yeah, man.
I don't think I've had one. Because I heard
when I
when I was younger, I didn't like beans, and so bean
Mhm.
pie just sound
Yeah.
nasty. So I never gave it a
Right.
chance. So
And that's the misconception, Bernard. You think it's gonna taste like a bean, but it tastes like a sweet potato pie, but better.
out of all things to sell, why did the Nation of Islam just decide we gonna take over the pie business? Like, what was up with that?
Or basically, Elijah Muhammad promoted navy beans because of the nutrition that it provides and how cheap it was and how easy it was to make. It was kind of like a meal for poor people. You know, Elijah Muhammad, who grew up poor in the country, you know, that was one of those things, you know, how grandma in the kitchen putting stuff together. So it's like, hey, this is something inexpensive yet nutritious that we can have, you know, as a snack, as a dessert. And also the Nation of Islam are really big on selling navy beans and eating navy beans. But it's one of those things that's very inexpensive and very nutritious to eat, because Elijah Muhammad, Nation of Islam, is always all about the health, all about eating right. Before intermittent fasting became a fad, we talking about in the 60s and 70s, Nation of Islam talked about eating one meal a day or one meal every other day. So now intermittent fasting is the big deal now. But Elijah Muhammad said that, you know, 40, 50 years ago. Now, again, I'm not a Muslim and I'm not in the Nation of Islam.
Well, aren't you? Are you Hebrew or Israelite or something? Like, are you?
Great question. So for me, I do believe that the so-called African Americans are quite possibly part of the lost tribes of Israel. I can't prove that. I can't prove that necessarily. I can't qualify that per se with empirical evidence, but I do believe that we are the children of Israel. And I do believe strongly in the biblical text, but not the Christian ideologies that are falsely placed upon the text. Real quick, like I don't believe in the Trinity. I don't believe you can go and eat a pig and be okay and pray over it. I don't believe, you know, that the Messiah is a god or anything like that, or half god, or, you know, some you know, theological terms I can get into that I won't hear. But I differ from even mainstream Hebrews that you see, because I believe the Messiah is a complete human being, a man just like you and I, a man who kept the law, statutes, commandments perfectly, but yet and still a man, not a god, not a half god, not somebody who pre-existed his birth or anything like that, but a flesh and blood man. So that makes me different than most of the Hebrew Israelites that are popular, you know, the ones that you see on the street corners or the ones you see in churches. I believe that the Messiah is a human being, period. And he wasn't pre-existed. He wasn't on the earth before. His life started in the womb of his mother Mary, and he was born and he lived, he died, and yes, he was resurrected, of course. And he's the king of Israel, but he's a human being. So that kind of cuts me out of the loop with your mainstream Hebrews. That pretty much cuts me out of the loop of Christianity. That cuts me out of the loop with everybody. I believe God is one person only. One God, one person, not 1 and 3, not 3 and 1, not 2 and 1, or half one over here. So that X's me out of pretty much every religious conversation as far as most people are concerned, because most people believe in some sort of veneration of a Trinity or what they call binitarianism. So no, God is one person alone. He has no equals. He has no partners. He has no helpers. None of those things. He doesn't need any of that.
Right. Well, I'm gonna put a pin in that. We're gonna come back to that because you said something a while ago that really made me say, when they were talking about you and somebody, I forgot what panel or what was going on. A religious discussion was taking place, and y'all was relating it or tying it to women. And somebody had mentioned that I call them Hebrewites, the black Israelites. He was talking about those women tend to conduct themselves much better. And then you said that no, most of them are just closeted Christians that they wearing the banner of Hebrewite because I guess they got them a man out of it or something. I don't know, but yeah, we'll get back into that because I do. When I look at religion, because like you were involved with the Nation of Islam, At a wide shot, Nation of Islam looked like it's a lot of submissive, in pocket, in control women who are, marching to the beat of the right drum, just at a wide shot. So I do want to dig into that. So that's one that I put a pin in. I'm writing that down right now. I'm gonna ask you some more about the NOI women, the Black Israelite and women and all of that stuff right there. And David Johnson, me and David Johnson supposed to be doing a one-on-one about that. I got to email the brother. I keep forgetting, but yeah, I'm gonna circle back and ask you about that. See if you got some got a take on that one. But Jessica X, thank you for that super chat. Now you know what bean pies are. You just learned a little something about American culture. There you go. Counselor Murray, he says those bean pies are A1. Never had one, brother. I never had one. I'm slacking. New in the building, he says, let me get that apple bean pie. Is that a thing? Is that a thing? Apple bean pie?
Never heard of an apple bean pie. Never heard of that.
That didn't sound like it was an actual thing. But all right. Who we got? Son is hot raw in the building. He says, when did I get knighted with a wrench? Probably the last time you donated. If you donate regularly or semi-regularly, you probably end up getting a wrench. But sometimes I'll be late to hop on it, and that may be a mistake as well because too many people got wrenches, and y'all just be timing people out, hiding people from a channel because you don't like them. Y'all be clowning. My mind's out of control. I do not got control of the classroom over here. It's a madhouse. But he said, when did I get knighted with a wrench? Well, Sir Riley, thanks and much respect. Much respect to you. Don't be abusing it. Don't be abusing it like everybody else. And we also got Reynold Cherry in the building. He says, salute Black Ram on the panel. Salute to you too as well. All right. And Melody came back through with another one. She said, is a bean pie more like pumpkin pie texture?
Yeah, it's kind of like pumpkin pie texture, except it's actually a little bit lighter and actually more flavorful. So basically the bean pie, as far as the pumpkin and the sweet potato pie, the bean pie is a lot lighter in texture and a lot tastier. Trust me, Melody, you would love the bean pie. Most people like it. As there's very few people I've run into who didn't like it.
Right on. Kwame Triple X back in here. He says, have you ever dated a sister from the NOI? So I guess we got to get into that. He says, have you ever dated a sister from the NOI? If so, how was it? Now, when you say how was it? It sounds like you're talking about the what are you asking? Okay, I think you just want to know how was it dating her, but then I think that's
it's definitely different than the run-of-the-mill BW that you see. A lot more respectful, a lot more ladylike. It's something that just gives like a instant vibe of respect. And Nation of Islam women give off wifey vibes. By the way they dress and the way they carry themselves. They carry themselves with class. You would typically see a Nation of Islam woman with a long dress on, her head covered, and she's not trying to show curves and all of that, and a lot of times heels on, or at least flats. So she is going to give the appearance of a lady with class, and that goes a long way. So, and when they talk, they have a certain decorum that speaks of intelligence and class and not abrasive, which is a beautiful thing.
Wow, Black Ram gave a pretty good endorsement of the NOI women. I haven't seen you give an endorsement of any type of one.
No. They are amazing. I mean, they are much different than the run-of-the-mill BW.
I was waiting on the but they still be doing this. I thought it was about to be a bunch of butts. I thought it was about to be a bunch of butts after that. You just gave a good endorsement. At a snapshot, I mean, I've never, gotten the trenches with it, but at a snapshot, looking back at it, looking at it from a distance, yeah, that does seem to be the case. So yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, I'm not going to criticize something if it's working, and yeah, I think that's a great thing. News says go to Los Angeles for the apple bean pie, so it must be an actual thing.
Wow, that's something different. That is something different. That's my first time ever hearing of that one.
Right on, right on. All right. Michael Ross in the building with a super chat. You probably like me, you can't comment in your super chats. I don't know why that's the case, but you drop your next comment in the chat. If I see it, which I probably won't, but if I'm gonna look for it, if I find it, I'll read your next comment if it's something that you wanted to say along with that super chat. But all right, let's get back on it. Hopefully you remember exactly where you was at in your Black
Oh
Ram is
yeah.
his journey to the
Mhm.
red pill. So go ahead and pick up right back where you was at.
Yeah, so after that, I went on a real dry streak because the ladies in the neighborhood just did not want to deal with me, man. And that's when I decided to go to college. And it was there where I found ladies who were of different races and from different neighborhoods who took well to me. Of course, some did something different, but they took well to me. And that's when I started to learn everything I could learn about female nature and game and applied it. And it was a beautiful thing. I just had to get out of that environment and those women.
It's interesting to point out because for those that just made it back in, he talked about how he was like sort of thugging it out a little bit. He was like a little mini thuggo out there getting into a lot of street fights and all of that. And he said he was getting on with the ladies pretty well when he decided to turn his life around. The women in the community pulled back away from him, and then when he went and got his started going to get his education and all of that, started going to school, another race of women saw no problem with him. It's like your story is sounding like basically like the like Black Manosphere talking points 101. Like it's like perfectly just cookie cutter. Like you fit the exact definition. There's some aspects of my life that do line up just like that as well. But that's interesting. So you're in there with the college. Explain what you was talking about when you referred to you start noticing things about female nature. Let's try to real
man.
quick. Grown man business in the building. He says salute, brother Bernard and the master teacher Black Ram. Hashtag men first. Shout out to grown man business over
Luke
there.
GMB. Yes, sir.
Over
That's
there doing the Lord's work, man. Gotta
Absolutely.
give much love, much respect to GMB. Lorenzo Davis, he says, 2 questions for Black Ram. We ain't gonna get through the interview. I come with all these questions, but I appreciate it. We dragged this bad boy out. Lorenzo Davis in the building says, 2 questions for Black Ram. Why did you leave the Nation of Islam? Do you believe every brother should read Message to the Black Man? It's only one. Oh, or I think he said it's only one God, Allah. Is he asking that a question, or is he just saying that? But anyway,
that was just a statement.
that was just a statement.
I'll answer that. Yeah, I'll answer that. If
Yep,
you want me to, Bernard. Okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, they super check questions. Yeah, we gonna tackle it.
Absolutely. Around the time that I was dealing with the Nation of Islam, I also had a guy that I knew that introduced me to Sunni Islam. And talking to both groups, there was a lot of inconsistencies by the nation. A lot of things in the nation that just was like, wow, did you just make that up? I have a lot of respect for the nation, but it was like, whoa, this is not what traditional and Orthodox Islam is. So I was dealing with the Sunnis a little bit and dealing with the nations, and then Nation of Islam, reading all of their literature, reading Quran, and then I started reading the Book of Mormon. Then I started reading Jehovah's Witness literature. Then I started reading Christian literature. Then I started reading Buddhist literature, Shintoism, pretty much all the world major religions, and of course, Hebrew. I wouldn't just say this for the sake of this conversation. Hebrew Israelism, which I got introduced to in 1994, and this was before there was ever, the people outside what I call the camps that you see. Way before that, I was introduced to Hebrew Israelism. So I was looking at all of those things and comparing them in contrast And although I have respect, what stood out to me the most was the biblical text. So I crossed over into Christianity, but from further examination of Christianity, I'm like, no, this is not right, because it's a lot of contradictions inherent within Christianity. Three gods, but yet one God. That makes no sense. If God is one person, how can he be three persons? And how can three persons be one person? So this extreme inconsistencies in Christianity. I didn't say the biblical text, but Christianity itself. So for me, what made sense is the biblical text itself without Christian interpretation and God being one person. So that was my journey right there. So I pretty much studied all of the major religions, and I was and not just a casual reader. I mean, I talked to their religious heads. I read probably 30 or 40% of their literature. Even when I was involved in Christianity, because Christianity is a religion of many different denominations. Even when they say they're non-denominational, it's still a denomination. Yep. There's no such thing as a non-denominational church. Yep. They have a doctrine that's different from everybody else's. That's just a fancy buzzword. So I was involved in the so-called Word of Faith ministries, the Creflo Dollars and the Kenneth Copelands and Benny Hinn.
Hey,
and
won't nothing deconvert you faster than that stuff.
Exactly. So I was in that for a while and read all of their literature and read all of their forefathers that wrote things, and I was like, I saw so many inconsistencies with that. So I do my own thing now. And I think the other question that he asked was, let me see if I can go and get that back. He asked a second question. Message to the Black man. Yes, I do believe that every so-called African-American man should read Message to the Black Man. That book really set the tone for me and the rest of my life. Again, I'm not a Muslim. Respect to the Muslim community. But the book Message to the Black Man was one of the first books that opened my eyes to the reality of a lot of things. I was like 15 when I first read it, and I still have a copy. I have the original copy that I bought back when I was 15. And that book started me on a journey. And I probably wouldn't be where I am now without that. So, yeah, definitely.
All right. Mr. Shane Vicious, thanks for the super chat. He says, I was in a dry streak in 2003. Then I went to Germany for the summer. No more dry streak after that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Shane Vicious. Appreciate the super chat. All right. And also 279 people watching, only 132 on the likes. Let me make sure I liked it myself. Okay, I did like it myself. Y'all get the likes up. Get the likes up, good people. Get the likes up. We should be doing better than that on the likes. Let's get them up. And real quick before we get going, hey, I appreciate all the love y'all showing on the super chat in and the Cash App in, because a few people sent Cash App. Shout out to New and Lloyd on the Cash App. But he says, religion is refusing to accept what we can't know. You said religion is refusing to accept what we can't know. You mean not being religious or lack of religious or agnosticism or atheism? Unpack what he's saying. I don't understand what he's saying right there. He said religion is refusing to accept. I think religion to some degree is accepting some things that we can't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know what he means by saying religion is refusing to accept what we can't know. Mm-hmm. I would say it's accepting something, like we can't know what happens when an individual dies. We can't know for sure what or how the universe came to be. There are things we can't know, but religion fills in that gap of knowledge and puts an all-powerful deity. Puts an all-powerful deity, at the forefront or behind that, all of that. So I think religion plugs in some gaps of knowledge, but that's big picture. That's not getting into doctrine and all of that stuff. But so I don't know if I understand specifically his question or his statement right there. You can clarify that if you can, Jay. Jay Stokes in the building says, shout out to Black Ram. His classic video, How to Stop Worshiping Women, changed my life. No doubt. Black Ram has changed lots of lives. But go ahead. Let's pick back up pick back up. Okay, you just picked up a subscriber. Behave yourself. I think Black Ram be blocking women on site, so behave yourself. Don't go over there saying nothing crazy. No, just
yeah, my mods, they don't allow anything reckless to come through for sure. But I have no problem with women coming on the channel and being in the comment section. But if they start talking reckless, the mods will get them.
Yeah, it's a real short leash over there for women. Real short leash.
Yeah. But I'm all good with disagreements. It's just as long as it's respectful. You can disagree without insulting somebody, and that's a problem with our people in general. But it's hard to disagree without being insulting, and I think that's a tragedy.
Well, all right. Let's pick it back on up wherever we was at.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. J.I. clarifies his point. Hold on. I think real quick. He says, religion fills the gaps of what cannot be known. You make something up and run with it because you cannot accept not knowing. I do think to some degree that's what religion does, but that's just my opinion on that. Not trying to dig too deep into that. And sometimes theological debates break out on my show, but I'm not trying to dig too deep into that. But I do think, the whole God of the gaps concept, I do think there's a lot of truth in that. When man doesn't know something, then the concept of God comes in, and they try to plug in the holes, whether it's scripturally based or not. They try to fill in the holes and gaps of knowledge. I think man does that a lot. But thanks for your comment and your super chat, J.I. But getting back on, shout out to Fantastic in the building. He says, hey man, you're supposed to be saying ninjas, man. We're trying to clean it up over here. Ninjas don't like the Bible, but think it's cool to go. All right, I'm gonna keep it moving.
You know, Mr. Fantastic, right? You know he gonna go.
Fantastic be clowning. Shout out to Fantastic. Today Tuesday.
Yes, it is
Tuesday. Oh yeah. I hope Fantastic. He do tinfoil Tuesdays. I think it's called when he doing like a tinfoil hat series for the conspiracy theorists. They was on there doing flat Earth, UFOs. I don't know if they he bringing on some Bigfoot believers today. I don't know what's going on today over there. Hopefully he do that. I do enjoy that series he got going on over there, because I was thinking about doing something like that, but I never really put it together. I'm glad he doing it. So I'm glad somebody doing that, because black folks in our conspiracy theories, we gotta tackle the conspiracy theories and the wild, wacky, crazy beliefs. Had to educate some people. The Flat Earth show, if the Flat Earthers was on there, the guys had to cam up and do like some fourth grade science experiments, science projects, and prove that the Earth using flashlights and all, just and round objects, and show they had to do some third grade science projects live on air to prove to these guys that the Earth was not flat. It was very, very, very entertaining. Very entertaining. And like Melody is saying right there, please subscribe to BlackRam313 if you haven't done that already. Make sure you go and do that. All right, let's get back into it.
Yeah, so it was at that time, because I wanted to really understand why the rejection. Again, I was rejected by one community and accepted in another. Just to be specific, I was going to school in an area where at a college where there was a lot of Latinas. And it was a whole different ball game with the Latinas.
You love your Latinas, man. It just it's like your eyes light up when you start talking about them Latinas.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I like the BW too. I'm like the Jesse Jackson Rainbow Coalition. I mean, as long as she's cute, she can be purple. So that's my thing. She can be white, black, Latina, but they're just socialized differently. It wasn't about being thugged out with them. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some that like that, but I was more accepted and appreciated as a man who wanted to make something of himself outside the community that I was raised in. And to be fair, there were so-called African-American women in the colleges that did take to me as well, just to be honest. But again, it was just quite different. But even given that, the African-American women still wanted you to have a degree of street. Now, understand where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a place where the streets wasn't a beautiful thing. I saw many brothers, man, many guys that I grew up with to go to their funerals. So while she's saying being street is still a beautiful thing, a cute thing, I'm thinking of the death and destruction that it causes. She still thinks that being a D-boy is cute. And I'm thinking of the friends, all the friends I have whose mothers are strung out. So I realized, like, wow, look at this culture, look at our culture. If it's dysfunctional, it's glorified. And that hurt me to the core. So I had to like back away from that. And then in the process, I decided at some point in my college career that I was going to, this was before YouTube was in existence, that I was going to study women and study society as a whole, study people as a whole, and study women, of course, as it relates to me. And that's when I started just making observations about female nature. And that's what my channel is primarily about. Now, you do have exceptions to female nature. You have women who are actually, decent. But the problem is, we don't talk about the minority, we talk about the majority. So the majority of my experiences in North America with the ladies has been negative. So, and I saw the damage that it causes. For example, I knew a guy who offed himself because this girl was cheating on him. And literally, it wasn't even a week before she was with another guy. And that was a real big eye opener for me. I knew another guy who, the guy I mentioned, whose heart was shot out of his chest. The night of the funeral, his nephew come to me and say, yeah, he basically slept with his, ex-woman. I mean, because he's now deceased. The night of the funeral, I'm like, wow, she couldn't even wait till the man was cold in the ground before she is with his cousin. And I'm like, wow, man, this is deep, because I was again socialized going back to elementary school, bringing the girl the money that, women were angels, sugar and spice and everything nice. I literally thought that the opposite gender was a better class of human beings, and it wasn't my fault. I mean, think about the things you hear when a man introduces his wife. What does he say? My better half.
Yeah.
Women really pretty much in this society can do no wrong. I was watching a guy had sent me a snippet of the TV show The Bachelor, which I don't watch, but this guy basically talks sternly to a woman about her, effery, as Obsidian would say. Shout out to him. And she said, you can't talk to a woman like that. Like, wow, so any criticism, you can't talk to her like that. So I realized that we're living in a society, I mean, gynocentric to say the least, but that actually says she is better than me at every turn. And I started my channel as a reaction to that. I started my channel to reveal to men, I mean, so I'm sure guys already know now, but not everybody knew, to reveal to men the ugly side of a woman's nature. And some people erroneously think that that's every single female walking on the planet Earth. And I'm some type of guy that doesn't like females, or a guy who has some type of HAT, the rest for the female. On the contrary, I believe that I like women more than most men. I think I appreciate women more than most men. However, I do see the effery that's behind the veil, and I wanted to reveal that, to pull the wool off of guys' eyes, because I see men just jumping into the fire all the time. Can't tell you how many, and I mean, all of us have this experience, but it's the amount of experience. So for instance, can't believe how many guys, are deeply involved with women. I'm not proud of this, but I can't tell you how many married women or women who have boyfriends that, that I smashed. I had a buddy of mine sit up there and tell me, I wasn't messing with this girl, sit up and tell me that how great his girl is. And I was so sad for him, because everybody in the neighborhood knew that she was dealing with another guy, that he didn't. But he was talking about how great his girl is. And I'm like, wow, man, men are really, really, really lost. I'll let you get those super chats.
Well, let's see. Oh yeah, it's only that one right there. Laro in the building with a heavy-handed super chat, my man. Came through, says, for Black Ram, how does he feel about complaints versus complaining for men. I'll let you take that one. I don't know if I understand the question quite well. Let's see.
I think I do.
You got okay. You got to go ahead and tackle it. You got it. And Laro, thanks. I appreciate the super chat, Laro. You always coming through. Shout out to my man.
And Laro, if you want to clarify, but as I understand it, basically, I see a complainer say, "Hey, here's the picture right here. This is what you're dealing with. Make your mind up what you want to do. If you want to deal with it, then don't complain about it." So this is what I think complaining is. You know what you have in store behind this door. So once you get it, to continue to complain about it is not doing something about it. In other words, you know what you're getting into. Once you get it, now you have no right to complain. Because if you really understand, then you would leave it alone instead of complaining about it. So I think that might be the difference, right? If I'm understanding you right, Laro. And my thing is, at the end of the day, no matter what, a man would always want to be with a woman. Always. Mm-hmm. So the question is how to do so efficiently and effectively. That's what my channel is about. The revelation of the nature and the how to deal with it efficiently and effectively, because it is a lot going on today. We're not living in the world of the early 80s and the 70s when you can just organically like a woman and go far and make her your wife. Those days are pretty much over with. You're getting a lot when you're dealing with the modern day woman. You're getting a lot of baggage. You're getting a lot of self-damage. You're getting a lot of attitude. You're getting a lot of promiscuity. Here's a fact. And you guys can look it up. Fact. The more men that she has been with intimately, the least and less likely she is to be in a long-term committed relationship. Practical example. So if you get with a woman who is in her 30s and she's had her so-called phases, which are just excuses. She's had her phases, right? And you now get with her, odds are long-term, this thing won't work out. Those are the odds. And this is why the divorce rate in America is so high. So let's look at what a guy does. A guy puts his all in a lot of relationships. I know men get a bad rap, but show me a guy who loves his wife who wouldn't die for her. Show me a guy who loves his wife who wouldn't protect her with all that he has. Show me a guy who loves his wife who would not sacrifice for her. So now you're pouring your all into someone who cannot pair bond with you. You're pouring your all into someone who is always looking elsewhere. You're pouring your all into someone who still has her mind set on the past and her past relationships. So that's a lot to deal with. And men, and I have to say this because I have to be real. And people may disagree, but men love way harder than women. And I'll give you one example that'll knock it out of the park. No woman is ever asked to die for a man, but men are asked to die and sacrifice for women. And men do die and sacrifice for women. It's called war. It's called protecting her when you're in the street. So men love extremely hard. And you're taking all of that energy and giving it to someone who just might be unworthy because of her past and also because of the culture that we live in, the culture of promiscuity, the culture of entitlement, the culture of arrogance, the culture of materialism. And not to even mention that a lot of times when you get with a lady, it's after Thuggo and them have ran through her. Now, what does she have left after Thuggo is the question. Nothing but maybe children by other men, STDs by other men, feelings for other men, and can't pair bond because she's been with so many men. Again, here's a fact. The more men that she has been with, the more men she has dealt with in her past, the least likely she is to be in a long-term committed relationship. And this is a fact.
I got a question. Well, I'm just about to get on that. You keep saying it's a fact. I think you've done some content on this, but if you're saying it's okay, how do I put this? Like anecdotally and just from outside looking in, it just seems obvious. What you're saying that a woman who's been with a lot of guys is going to be less likely that she could actually pair bond and be in a long-term relationship. But if I'm not mistaken, I think I first saw some people, if not even you, if I'm not mistaken, do some content on it explaining how it's actually some science behind that. If I'm not,
absolutely.
oh yeah, break down that science. I love the science getting broke down. So go ahead and briefly break that down.
I have a video called "Why Her Body Count Matters." I'm just gonna read. Let me see if I can pull that up.
Yeah.
Some divorce stats. 1 second. Just give me a minute.
Well, while you pull that up, I'll read some super chats. But thanks, Laro. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate the question. Anwar Dunbar in the building says catch and release. Catch and release. No, come on, a good educated brother like you ain't catching and releasing. You know you love him. You know you love him. You wanna hold and cuddle and protect and provide for him. Come on, man. Don't be talking about that pump and dumping stuff, man. You know you're better than that, man. Shout out to Anwar Dunbar. Kill Deuce in the building. He says Black Ram in the building. Shout out to Kill Deuce. And also, nope, I'm not gonna miss you, Nick Penn. I see you. My man Nick Penn always come through. Yeah, he said catch and release. Yes, sir. Right on, right on. I see you, players. Are we gonna get into I think I like the way that you call it. You say pump and let her dump. If I'm not mistaken, yes, that's you, correct? Okay, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I like that because in my experience, because a lot of people know my story, I got married young, got divorced at 31. From 31 to 35, I was out there with my collar popped to getting it in with the lady. I had a 4-year run when I was out there. I was out there tough. And in my experience, it was more, not that I had a strategy, not that that was something that I decided to do. It was just the fact of what happened. Quite often, if there's a casual sex situation, women end it quite often more than men. I mean, after all, they got so many guys coming at them. Quite naturally, they're gonna find somebody else to go, party around with. Now, if you that dude who, she enjoy coming through after midnight because you that dude that she like does she like that? That she feeling like that? Yeah, she'll keep that going for a while. I had some women keep it going for a while, but quite naturally, a lot of them, they will get on to the next quicker than the average guy, because the average guy is just happy to be getting that casual sex. So a guy typically does not close the door to a woman who he don't got to do nothing for. She just coming through at night to put a little something on him. He put a little something on her, and then she leave. The average guy is not going to end that arrangement. Women quite often end that arrangement. They get what they want out of it. They had a little fun, and then they on to the next, doing what they doing, finding. They trying to find some suckers that take them out on dates, and in the process of doing all of that, of getting dated and wined and dined, and they dinner whoring and they doing this, they found somebody else to hop in and out the bed with. So I mean, yes, that's what's happening. You pumping and she's dumping. More times than not, the woman ends the casual sex situation. That's why I don't like when guys are saying pump and dump, because it puts the guy, and I know some guys don't mind being the bad guy. Some guys don't mind wearing a black hat, but it puts us in a position like we're the evil villains just encroaching on these innocent little creatures. Like, no, they all about that life. They want that life. They live that life. That's why, I mean, it wouldn't be no hot girl summer, girls trips, and all of this waiting until they married and over 30 and overweight with a couple kids by a couple men, and then now they want to get married. Now they calling Kevin Samuels trying to figure out how to get a high value man. If they didn't like that lifestyle, they would have been trying to figure all that out at 21. No, they loved every minute of that pump and dump life. But I got Laro coming back on through. Laro big balling real quick. Hold on. Okay, we got Spartacus Jackson in the building. Black Ram, educate the brothers about the womb imprint. I think that's what he was looking up. And your video, why she is still attached to her ex-boyfriend, is a life-changing video. All right.
No, but I gotta step away just for a second.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, I just lost you for a second right there. Well, if you gotta step away, go ahead and step away. It's all good. It's all good. Laro back in the building, coming through with another one. He says, for Black Ram, what percentage of guys are are one BJ away from playing fake red pill? Interesting question. I'll tackle that one. I know Black Ram going to have a better answer for it, but the reason that question need more layers to it, because it assumes that a guy is only red pill because he's not getting BJs. I think it's a better question to say how many MGTOWs are one BJ away from not being MGTOW no more. Because the guy who's red pill, I don't think getting that BJ stops, prevents, or gets in the way of him being red pill. Now he could get a BJ and just turn into just a full blown simp. That's very possible. That's very possible. He could just start full blown simping because of that, and then in that sense, you would be right. But a lot of guys who are red pill are getting BJs. A lot of guys who are MGTOW are getting BJs. I think that starts with the assumption that guys in this space are only red pill, are only saying they MGTOW, or only saying they're this, they're only saying they're that, only because they ain't getting no action. So the guy who's claiming some ideology, some thought process, or some realization about life, if he's claiming that only because he's not getting proper attention or action from women, or enough attention or action from women that he finds sufficient, if that's the only reason why he's claiming that, then yeah, that guy is one BJ away, because he came to all this a new thought process. He was more so forced into it, or he came to it for bad reasons, not getting on with the ladies. I don't think that's not necessary for the process of becoming red pill. So a lot of us became red pill based off our experience with women, my marriage and divorce. I learned a lot there. Like I said, after my divorce, when I got out there, started dealing with women that made me realize, shout out to Donovan Sharp, that they weren't made of sugar and spice and everything nice. It was dealing with them. So I was getting BJs the whole time that I was becoming, to the thought process I have now. So BJ or not BJ was never even on the table for me. It was never a moment when I wasn't getting them, probably when, getting them as frequently as I always wanted, but it was never a moment where, the incel, I just go ahead and say, the incel who's talking about he's MGTOW, talking about he red pill, he black pill, he this, he that, that's the guy who your statement really is applied to. Because that guy is more than likely just one, he ain't just one BJ, he one hand job away. He won shoulder massage away. Some of those guys. Not to insult those brothers. I just talked to a brother on my show the other day who said he was a 29-year-old virgin and said, any interaction with a woman is just nerve-wracking for him. That. So that guy, yeah. I mean, I don't mean to insult those brothers. Hey, some people got things they need to get figured out. This guy was a military brother, had a solid job, made decent money. He just, his social skills weren't there. So, somebody like him, he just need to work on some things. But it is some brothers who are faking the funk without the nasty dunk, and yeah, they claiming red pill, MGTOW, all of this, all of that. But in reality, they're virgins who haven't even fully left the nest, and they one hand job or shoulder massage away from being a full blown simp. So yeah, that part. You can go ahead and elaborate on Laro's question. I hope I didn't miss nobody else super chat when I was dealing with Laro's. I think I already read that one. Okay, I think we're about to get into that, but you could deal with Laro's question and the information that you was pulling up. You can definitely get into that as well.
Definitely. Excuse me for that. I had to take a phone call about this car repair, and I'm waiting on the guy to call me back. So if I mute the mic, I'll mute the mic once I get that call back. I just got to approve the brake service and everything that he's checking out. But yeah, Laro, I think if I had to put a percentage on it, I would say probably about 90%. I've seen content creators and I've seen guys one moment when things are going bad on the dating scene be all into this community. But once they think they get a girl that they like, they stop producing content, and those who weren't content producers stop coming around. And then when she breaks his heart, he's right back. So it's like almost an old friend that you push away and then pull back to. I've seen that over and over in my 8 years in this community, over and over again. The problem is guys just don't want to stay who they are. At the end of the day, most guys just want validation from a female. At the end of the day, that's all they're living for. Hate to say it that way, but it's just a fact.
Right on. Mr. Chainvich is in the building. He says, I'm MGTOW, but I still have sex. Yes, very few are actual MGTOW monks. But he says, I'm just not marrying or breeding them. I like an occasional glass of milk. I don't require the entire cow. Yeah. yeah. I hear you. Gotta get you a steak or something out the side. I was about to get too far upfield with that joke, but anyway. All right. Shout out to Ricardo Ronnie. Y'all make sure y'all sub to Black Ram. We got 340 in the building, 190 on the likes. Make sure y'all hitting that like button. All right, let's get back into it. Oh wait, no, you was about to answer a question because you were saying that it is a fact.
Somebody after Laro's question, somebody else asked a question.
Yeah, you were saying that it was a fact that a woman who's had too many sex partners, it's a fact that she doesn't pair bond as well. And when you were saying it was a fact, I was like, okay, you say it's a fact. It sounds like there's some science behind it. If there's science behind it, break down that science. Let us know what's the deal with that.
Well, basically, I don't have the scientific information in front of me. I did do a video a while back called "Why Her Body Count Matters." But when we look statistically, it's a website called lawyers.com, and of course, this is not a primary source. However, on their website, the following is stated, quote, women with 6 or more premarital sexual partners are almost 3 times less likely to be in a stable marriage. Think about that. Again, this is lawyers.com. I'm not saying this is a primary source. I can't bring up all my research in front of me right at this time. But I believe that statistically, this bears it out. The more men that a woman has been with, the less likely she is to be able to pair bond with the next guy. And I'll give you guys examples pretty much from your own life. You ever asked a woman about her first love? If you ever talking to a woman who you're not, sleeping with, whether it be coworkers or relatives, when women account for their first love, they often admit not being able to love anybody else like that first guy that they love. And that right there, the way that affects you is you're giving your all to this woman, you're everything, but yet and still there's a man that she puts above you, whether he's living, dead, whether he's around or not around. There is another man that she put above you. I was talking to a coworker who was in her 60s, almost about to retire, and she's been with her husband for 25 years. And she said that she's about to divorce him. And I recall the conversation that I had with her a couple of years ago. And she actually stated that her current husband is not the one she loved like her husband before that, and that she never felt that way about a man again. Dangerous stuff. So this woman that you have in front of you that you would die for has another man that really is her world still, even 25 years later. And that is how dangerous being in love with the modern woman is. Dangerous. I'm about the heart. A lot of guys don't care about that, which is fine. The surface stuff, what she look like, what she feel like, but it's the heart of the woman that can make your life a living hell. It's the heart of a woman that takes you to child support. It's the heart of a woman that has her to cheat on you. It's the heart of a woman that has you paying alimony. So what I see in front of us are, without taking precautions, you're dealing with a very dangerous creature who can destroy your life. I mean, how many men have been financially ruined and emotionally ruined, physically ruined by dealing with the modern fail? So that's what the channel is about. It's dangerous out here. And again, my goal is to alert as many men as possible to the nature of the creature in which we have such affections for. Because at the end of the day, most of us, we want a woman. Nothing wrong with that. But how do you react? How do you deal with the modern promiscuous woman? Pump and let her dump, because that's what she's going to do anyway.
AJC in red in the building. He says you still can be MGTOW and get a BJ. MGTOW is about protecting yourself. Daps BR and Black Ram.
I concur.
Right on. All right. We was talking about your journey to the red pill. And we made it all the way up to when you made it into college and you started noticing women behaving differently there or wanting different things versus how when you was on the back when you was on the block. when you was out there in the hood and you started turning your life around, and then women were not interested in you when you didn't have the little thuggo banner behind you, and exactly. then you went and got your education, and you noticed women conducting themselves differently there, and that got you into a deep dive of.
So let me hold that thought and get this call real quick.
Okay. All right. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. Y'all make sure y'all hitting that like button. Let me see if somebody else came through on the Cash App. And I appreciate everybody coming on through today. We got a big audience in here, 340 people in the building. So make sure y'all definitely hitting that like button. I'm trying to scan the chat, see if it's anything somebody throwing out there. If only they were honest at the beginning. Honest about what specifically? A woman can be honest about some things and be full of crap about others. So that's I don't know exactly the context of what you're talking about when you said that. Olu TVs, aka Falcon Black, says when you let her dump, don't catch feelings, brother. That's an interesting concept. I don't know if I caught feelings for somebody who I was just in some casual sex with, but it's an interesting thing. I think I told this story before when it comes to women and how they enjoy this whole casual sex hookup culture. A woman who I was her casual sex thing. You know, she came through at night, we hooked up, we had sex, and that was that. It was cool. After sex, you know, sometimes we'd lay there, we'd be talking about stuff, and it was like, oh, I'll be damned, we got a lot of similar interests. I forgot what movie it was. It was a part 2 of a movie that was coming out. The movie wasn't even all that popular, but somehow they made a part 2 of it. And we was talking about it and was like, you know, we both was excited and couldn't wait for it to come out. And I'm like, okay, we sitting here, you know, hooking up, having sex, you know, she coming through, she hanging out, she chilling, she chilling, she kicking it, you know, we'd lay there and, you know, chop it up for a while after the sex and everything. So I just went on and was like, hey, that movie we keep talking about, hey, let's go check it out. And she got a little quiet. And I'm sitting there like, okay, well, maybe she, you know, never. And I brought it up again, and she got quiet again. And then the movie came and went. I went to go see it. I didn't know if she went to go see it, but it's like the movie came out, and then we just was like, you know, we weren't talking. And then, I don't know, 2 weeks went by. She came back through and wanted to have, you know, the normal casual sex routine. So I was just sitting there like, here's a situation where a chick is having casual sex with me. But I actually offered her more. I actually offered her what would qualify as a real date. She rejected me for the real date. I was like, damn, she's like straight up, rejected the shit out of me. Damn, I cussed. She rejected me for the real date. But she wanted to continue the casual sex thing going. So it is a weird and interesting thing. And my door was always open for the casual sex, but periodically she would break it off and just disappear for 6 months. And just randomly give me a text or call out the blue. And then we'd be back on doing our casual sex thing for about 3-4 months. And then she'd disappear again, sometimes for 8 months. And then I figured out that, I must be the guy who she just hops in bed and has casual sex with when she's in between boyfriends. She didn't care about going nowhere in public with me, didn't care about doing nothing like that with me. So I could imagine that there are some, my feelings wasn't hurt by it because, like I said, any casual sex situation is always a good deal for the guy. And guys, more times than not, unless they scraping the bottom of the barrel to get some casual sex, they're more than likely not going to just break off the casual sex situation. Guys are going to keep that casual sex situation going. And it is more than likely the woman who breaks that off. Now, it's a fair question to ask. When the woman break that off, how many dudes turn around then and start getting feelings, start over texting, start getting start getting in their fifis a little bit. Start getting in their fifis a little bit because the woman broke off that casual sex situation, which they do break it off more times than not. And somebody said, I think Mr. Shane Vicious in the chat said that I was her side piece. I probably was. I didn't know. But no, I came to the conclusion that she had my conclusion was I was just the guy that she had casual sex with when she was in between boyfriends. That was my conclusion with that. And Nick Penn said her boyfriend worked at the movies, possibly. But either way it go, she rejected my advance to take her to the movies, but she wanted to keep the casual sex going. So it is an interesting thing when you're talking about whether or not guys do get in their feelings when the woman is breaking off, when the woman is doing the dumping. Do gentlemen, you can go ahead and tackle that one. Do you think men getting their fifis when the woman break off the casual sex situation?
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. But it happens mostly. She's the one who really, like you mentioned, is the one who's doing the pumping and dumping because she has all the options. Here's the thing. She is the object of desire, not us. No matter how swagged out you think you are, at the end of the day, it's she that makes all the choices. You can walk in a room and you can be the nicest looking brother there, and you can be the richest brother there, but there are going to be those who reject you. So it's like this is how it works. You got a woman, one woman is going to get approached by in a month's time, depending on how much she goes out and on social media, she has hundreds of options of men approaching her. Now, how many options does the best of us in her mind have? How many women are sitting there approaching men every day? Well, how many men are getting approached by women all day, every day? It doesn't happen unless you're riding down the street in a Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce Phantom. Most men aren't getting approached. So she holds all the cards, and she's the one who decides whether you get in a relationship, the length of that relationship, how well that relationship goes. She holds all of the cards. She's the one who says, okay, we need to stop right here. And there's no denying that. So when I say pump and let her dump, you're basically allowing her to go through the course of the relationship, how she's going to go through the course of the relationship, because this is what she does. The average modern day female is truly the one who breaks up. I mean, we can see this in our own life. If you think about all the women that you guys have met and dealt with, 9 times out of 10, she's leaving you alone. You're not leaving her alone. And she does this quickly and abruptly because there's always the next man for her. Always the next man. Always, always, always.
Sir Tice in the building with a super chat. He says, shout out to Bernie and Ram. Ram has some of the funniest mock names he gives the females, children, little LaQuantavius Jenkins. little LaQuantavius Jenkins. Yeah.
And I have to give a shout out to Brian Solange. He's the one who created the term FIFA. He's the first person I heard say that. So I didn't come up with FIFA. All us other stuff is mine, but I got to give him credit where credit's due.
Okay. All right. Where was we at? We was at the point in the tale where you was talking about how you started really deep diving into studying female nature. Now, would you say that studying was more so just academic, or was it how much of it was, applicable that you were able to fully apply out there?
Yeah, so I'm the researcher that was on the ground. So this is primary source and primary research material. Mm-hmm. So I gather this from my vast experience from talking to, and this is no bragging and boasting. You don't boast on women now. You do not make your boast on women. But this is from me carefully notating mental as well as literal notes of dealing and talking to upward to possibly in my lifetime, I want to say between 800 and 1,000. I didn't say I smashed 800 into 1,000, but I'll give an example. You guys experienced this. You know how you meet a woman and you talk to her on the phone for a couple of weeks and then they just drop off. Mm-hmm. I've had close to probably 1,000 experiences like that. And I got into this observation. Sometimes I would ask questions, and sometimes these are just strict observation. The best way to find out about her nature is through observation. And I learned how to carefully craft a relationship and a situation with a woman whereby she is at first very comfortable because I make her comfortable. If you approach a woman and let her know that, hey, it doesn't matter how many guys you've been with and, here go my body count and what's your body count, you make her comfortable enough, she'll tell everything because women love to talk and primarily about themselves. So that's the thing that I do when I first meet a woman. I ask her, how she, what her past was like. I have a clever way of doing it. What her last relationship was like. Why did her last relationship end? And how long did it last? And, I kind of make her comfortable and ask her, has she ever cheated on a guy? And, stuff like that. And the best predictor of the future, as far as human personality is concerned, is past performances and history. So I got the bird's eye view of what the average lady today is all about. So my research is primary because, as you know, there's not a lot of psychologists and professionals who really search the dark side of female nature. There are books written. Esther Villard's book, The Manipulated Man, is probably one of the best works out there. So along with reading my own research, have my own research and draw my own conclusions.
Right on. Osama Abdu in the building. He says, Ram the Don. BR, going forward, have you decided on what route you want from the mods in chat as far as foul language, negative vibes, drama, etc.? Do you want it to be moderated or keep it gully? Well, I've set up a bunch of words that they can't use in the chat. So I think those words should automatically be blocked. Problem is, I got way too many mods who don't follow those rules. Because I think mods, and BlackRam, you can let me know, mods can cuss or say whatever they want, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so now it's a matter of the mods not following the rules. That's why I had this. Where is it at? That's why I had that scrolling across the screen, letting mods know to try to refrain from cussing, replace words with the N word with ninja. If you're gonna use the F word, put a PH in front of it instead of F. And when I say F, I'm not talking about the one word that that's another way of saying someone of homosexual descent. Yeah, I know which word to start with an F that you can't say. Don't use that word at all. So, but the problem right now is moderating the mods, and I may have to do something with that. I don't want to do a clean sweep of wrenches, so I'm just asking mods to behave themselves, respect the channel, help the growth of the channel, and let's not be saying a bunch of wild, wacky, crazy stuff. I mean, you could say wild, wacky, crazy stuff, like Black Ram technically does all the time. His subject matter is is pretty graunchy, but he just knows how to talk about it in a way that does not trigger the YouTube algorithm. So I'm just asking all of you to be conscious of that. That's all I'm asking. But I know it's a learning process because I slipped up and cussed twice already today. So it's a learning curve. I know it's probably going to take me probably to the end of this year before I get it all the way figured out. So I'm giving y'all time to. I'm giving y'all time. See, there goes somebody else says, he said P-U-Z-Z-Y. He spelled it P-U-Z-Z-Y. Little stuff like that. Yeah, that's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking.
It's really hard for guys to control themselves, but control that tongue. But I've learned that it's not what you say, is how you say it, and you have to come up with different words. Because I genuinely, well, not genuinely, but I usually, if I'm doing a live stream by myself, it's just me. I won't use genders. I don't, because that sets off the algorithm as well. In the YouTube community, something can be triggered. I mean, anything can trigger the the idea of H speech. So, I come up with words to say instead of, and I try to, if I'm on an interview with somebody, it's kind of hard to keep them from saying certain things. But myself, like you notice, Bernard, if you monetize your channel, as soon as you come off a live stream, it's demonetized. But if
I get a yellow $
right
on
away.
that. Yeah,
And if I'm on with somebody else, I'll get that too. But if I'm on by myself, that doesn't happen because I'm not saying anything that, of course, no curse words, and I don't usually use gender. Now, what I do is if I hear you using gender terms, then I'll use them if I'm on here with you. But by myself, or I can do a whole show without saying him, her, she, man, woman. All I can do a whole show without saying that.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice. You got to almost rewire your brain to just talk in a different way. It's actually difficult. That's why I'm being patient with the mods. I'm being patient with the mods because I know some of y'all are so used to talking in a certain way. And I'm used to speaking in a certain way. So it's a work in progress for me too. I'm trying to get it right, trying to get the whole process together. I meant to say, but thanks, Osama Abdul. I appreciate your concern. Appreciate you being concerned and trying to be on top of that as much as possible. I do appreciate you. Got something. Okay, information man in the building. I got a one-on-one. If I got my yes. That one-on-one is for tomorrow. Me and information man getting it in tomorrow. So make sure y'all here for that one. Make sure y'all here to check that one out.
Good to see you, brother.
Yeah. Says Black Ram speaking truth. One question I want to ask you. I heard someone recently who's a for lack of a better way to describe it, a critic of the manosphere. He said that he's referring to red pill. That's another word that you probably shouldn't say either, but I think that one triggers the algorithm too. But he's a critic of the manosphere, which is another word you probably shouldn't say. So I'm still working on it. But he said that everything that people talk about or they consider red pill, he just says it's just a bunch of basic common sense. But these guys are up here talking about it like they've just found some holy grail or this is some deep, epic, erudite discussion, but it's just basic common sense you're supposed to know at 12 years old or whatever. I don't know if 12 was what he used, but that's sort of the tone I got from this person. What do you think about that?
I disagree. I think that it should be common knowledge, and to a degree it is, and it may sound like a contradiction, but when it comes to
by the way, the person who said it is like a full-blown card carrying simp. So he wasn't speaking, he wasn't coming in good faith. So I just want to make that very clear. So go ahead. Go ahead and answer the question.
When she's intoxicating, man. So here's the thing. You got two problems here. You have the subject in herself is intoxicating. I mean, the beauty, the glamour, the softness is enticing and draws you in. And it literally sets off chemicals in your brain to whereby you can't even think clearly. So that's biological right there, because we are all biologically hardwired to be together. It's for the propagation and the continuation of the species. So you have a natural inclination to want to love and protect her and sacrifice for her. So that's number one. Secondly, you've been socialized differently. You've been socialized to say that, she is above thee. And the third part, when you add our ego to it, every man always believes that he's a man that's better than every other man, not only because she says so, because we feel that way ourselves. And we believe that we have the only woman in the world who isn't like all the rest. So when you add in all of those factors, it's quite naturally and quite easy to see how a man can get lost in the storm of your biology, the storm of your social conditioning, the storm of your ego. And for men, our problem is our ego. Again, we always think that we are the only guy in the world who won't have this problem. So yeah, I think that was oversimplifying it. It's much more in depth than that, because you're battling everything within you and outside of you says, give to her, love her, be with her, believe her, and you want to so bad. So you have to fight against all of this. So no, it is plain and simple to see, but when you add those layers, when you add those veils, it becomes dark and a murky place to see through.
Yeah. The guy who says it is a guy who practically defends Black womanist. And I'm trying not to say the one word, the other F word that triggers the algorithm. Yeah, the guy who says it, he comes online and defends. I'll go ahead and say it. He defends Black feminists online. So if he's dealing with a woman in real life, she's saying jumping, he's saying how high. More than likely, if he's defending Black feminists, we don't even friggin' know. But anyway, so yeah, that's the deal with that. One quick thing I do want to say, Judge Zilla, who, if you watched my last show, I did a one-on-one with him about another thing that triggers the algorithm, the coronavirus. He lost his father to it. Judge Zilla just sent me a sizable cash app, and I was just sitting there thinking. I was emailing with another brother. He was inquiring about whether or not we need to, that's something. It was speculation on whether or not you needed some help in this situation, but you just sent me a very sizable cash app. I was thinking about we need to rally together and send you something. So so yeah, I'll be talking to you on that. I appreciate the cash app, but I was planning on emailing you when I got off the air, Judge Zilla, just to make sure everything all right with your situation, losing your father. If y'all got everything taken care of as far as the funeral. I know. Good brothers like yourself. Yeah, we keep the life insurance policies and everything intact and in pocket. That'd be only certain type of, I don't want to throw nobody under the bus. Let me be nice. But there's a certain type of Black people that when they lose a loved one, it's the end of the world, because they can't even afford to bury him. But yeah, that's Black people. We got to do better as far as life insurance policy and preparing for the worst and what could happen. Hopefully you got all that together. But yeah, me and another brother was talking behind the scenes about whether or not we need to send you a little something, but I don't know if everything is together. So I chop it up with you about that. But man, you just sent me a very sizable cash app. I don't even want to say how much it was. I appreciate you, because he was very appreciative that I gave him the floor to just get it off his chest, to talk about the situation. It was a very, very sad, hard to get through interview. It was, yeah, we got through it together. We got through it together. That his father, who was living with him at the time, was sick, and he was struggling with whether or not he was just going to, grab stubborn old dad and just force him into the car, take him to the hospital. Dad saying, "I'm all right, I'm good. It's just the sniffles." And then lo and behold, it was coronavirus. His father passed away, and very, very sad show, very sad situation. He's quarantined right now, and yeah, so it was a tough one. It was a tough one. So yeah, I'll be checking in on you on that periodically, making sure you're all right, and everybody, rally behind brother Judge Zilla. So yeah, it's a tough one. I never know what to say in those situations, because it was a tough one. It was a tough one, but yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that brother. Thank him for the cash app that he just sent me, and And yeah, those of you who are, I haven't prayed in a while, but those of you who are into praying, by all means, yes, definitely pray for the brother. But yeah, there's that. So shout out to Judge Zilla. Hopefully he's doing fine. Where was we at? Dark Knight Mentality says Ram up here talking about his girl, not my girl. Salute to you, Bernard, and the legend Black Ram. Yeah, definitely. Thanks. Mel Enlightenment TV. Oh, here we go again. He said, my girl is different. She told me I can trust her, even when she has girls' night out and travel out the country. Even when she works late, I can trust her.
Your girl different, huh? My girl wouldn't do.
Not if they're giving you bad deal. Forget it. Shout out to Nuruddin. Dark Knight Mentality. I already read that one. Hey, y'all showing a lot of love. I definitely appreciate all the contributions today. All right, I'm circling back. One thing that we talk about. Well, did you round out everything as far as your red pill journey? Because we basically made it to the point where you start doing formal studying and field research and all of that on studying women. I guess that's what leads you up to where we're at right now. So that more or less, I think, covered your entire journey to the red pill.
Absolutely. When I found that there was a community that was speaking about the things that I had learned, I was just elated, and it just added to the body of knowledge that I was working on the whole time. Again, taking mental notes, and literally I would get out of a relationship with a woman and write and journal down my experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that is what began that journey, and was able to translate that and take that and put it on a YouTube channel early on, 8 years ago almost.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. One thing that we touched on, we talked about Chicago. Now, you down there in the belly of the beast when these discussions happen in the manosphere, and it's not exactly your wheelhouse, if I'm not mistaken, but at least I don't think you do content on that.
I have. I've done a couple of videos, not many though.
Okay. Well, when the conversations are going, people are talking about, racism, white supremacy, all of this, all of that. Somebody brings up Chicago. That they down there shooting each other. They're doing this, they're doing that. That ain't got nothing to do with no white man. That's a black man pointing another gun at another black man and shooting him. So, what's your thoughts on that? Because Chicago get charged up a lot in a lot of these discussions, and some of the charges, I look at the data, so I understand the charges. But what's your opinion on all that goes on and goes down?
Yeah, I think there's a tendency to just look at one side of the equation, and the equation of exactly what you see, the symptom. But understand that the violence that we see in Chicago is a symptom of a disease, a symptom of a larger issue, a condition. So here's what it is, right? We undoubtedly live in a country that's full of racism, white supremacy. We understand that. How it looks in Chicago specifically, just real quick, and I know you guys know this, but let me just give a brief synopsis of this. There was a time up from slavery where we had our own businesses, and those businesses were pretty much destroyed by the other man, right? I'm just trying to keep it PG. And there was a time where our communities were self-sufficient. And then there was a time that was not. Part of the reason why it was not is because other resources wasn't flowing into those communities. Of course, we did burn down some of those communities, as well as those communities suffering from racism. I'll give you an example. In Chicago, there was a thing called redlining, where they would make housing prices so expensive, and they would discriminate against you buying houses in certain areas to keep you in certain places. So we have the infamous project Cabrini Green in Chicago, and those projects were constructed to keep the darker skinned people isolated in one community with less resources. The schools are public, right? Well, the schools that we are attending in the neighborhood don't have the resources. When I was growing up, there was no science lab. I went to college, and they said, "Hey, we're gonna dissect a frog." Like, man, I heard the other people in the room saying they haven't done this since elementary school or high school, and I'm like, wow, we did not have a science laboratory. Not just myself in school, the elementary school that I went to. Nobody in the neighborhood has ever experienced a science lab. All we had was used textbooks, right, and the teacher. Use textbooks and the teacher. Every now and then we'll get new textbooks, but we didn't have any access to technology or anything like that. I think the school that I was in was one of the last schools to get computers when computers were first becoming a thing. People remember the Oregon Trail if you're my age. So lack of access and lack of resources played a role. And then they brought out the big guns. The big guns were welfare and the street pharmaceuticals. And the biggest gun was saying that, hey, if you are an African-American male, nah, we're not going to give you this job. And then they came with the plan. The plan was, hey, to the sisters, take this economic package called welfare, but you can't have a man living with you. And such said man who, again, lack of resources, don't have the money for the college education. There was a time when there was no such thing as financial aid, people. Don't have the resources. These men were jobless and somewhat homeless and turned to the underground economy, which started a whole cycle of things. So never forget that the conditions that you see in these communities were done on purpose. They were called the projects for a reason. The economic undevelopment in these communities were purposeful. And it was a snowball from that point. So when she said, okay, you know what, I'm gonna kick this man out, I can do it by myself. And then you had, the FEM and what the rest is ism come in. So let's look at this for a minute. We have institutional racism as far as men not having access to jobs. You have the Welfare Act of the 60s. You have the I Don't Need a Man movement. You have the influx of street pharmaceuticals. You have all of these things going on. Now, what community on the planet Earth have had that assault from all the way around? And then don't forget, when we did try to open up businesses, they made it extremely hard for us to have businesses. When we did try to go get the bank loan for the house, they made it very difficult, again, redlining, for us not to get the home loan. Remember when we went to go apply for the job, they made it very difficult to get the job, if not impossible to get the job. To go get the business loan, because you can't just start a business just because you feel like it. They made it very difficult for us to get that business loan. So we should never forget the conditions that were created to put us in this position, which we now see complete dysfunction of the community. However, I will say this. Just because you're poor, disenfranchised, don't mean that your house should be nasty. It doesn't mean that you should litter. And that doesn't mean that you should be violent with your brother. So we have internal conflict within ourselves and we have outside forces. Now you combine that and we have the culture that we now see, a culture that praises dysfunction, a culture that praises promiscuity, a culture that praises the material. You can get you a Louis Vuitton belt, but you have no money in the bank. And this affects males and females. So now we have a culture. We're so dysfunctional, have been dysfunctional for so long. We have a culture that promotes dysfunction and brags about dysfunction. Asian doll said she don't want to mess with no man who don't have 3 bodies on him, talking about, the demise of his brothers. So we have a whole culture that's for everything that is antithetical to who we should be in a civilized society. So again, never forget, right? Never forget that there was a system in place to put us in the position that we're in, but also never forget also that we have a lot to do with. I don't want to just look at one side. We have a lot to do because we didn't have to pick up the weapon and start harming ourselves. And there are simple things that we could have done. You know, as much money as we spend on Gucci and Louis, what about pooling your resources together and actually getting, at least start off with one store in your neighborhood that sells goods, and, you know, snowball that into another store. But then we have our internal problems that, you know, our brothers don't like to see other brothers getting money. You know, Bernard Rowley, you sitting up here getting all these super chats, and you got brothers that's mad about that instead of supporting that. So now we have internal problems. So we have problems within and without, which again gives us what we see today. And it's disheartening, it's sad. And it's pretty much every man for himself for the most part. I mean, we have a community here in this sector, but other than that, when you're in your everyday life, man, you have enemies all around you, including the brother standing next to you, and a lot of times including yourself if you are dysfunctional. So yeah, Chicago is a great example of all the things that I've mentioned. And this is why we have what we have. And I like to say that it's no accident that Chicago is the most segregated in the nation and also one of the most democratic and liberal.
Don't get into that. Don't bring that. You're supposed to talk about that one no more. but yeah, like, and I think me and Information Man gonna probably end up getting into a lot of what you were talking about there. So I kind of want to save that for me and his conversation. But I did want your take on that. I do like the part. Listen, a lot of the stuff that you talked about, a lot of it, you know, does still come down to choices. You know, welfare was made available for all people in this country. So if it was an internal fight within the families because they were poor and she wanted the man out the house so she can get welfare, I just did something on this NBA player. I mean, you old enough, so I know you watched Isaiah Thomas coming up. Yeah. So yeah, I know you grew up on that. You was in Chicago, so no, he's from Chicago, so of course,
yes, sir. Of course, from Town.
Yeah, you was one of the ones who was torn between rooting for Zeke or Michael Jordan, because Jordan had on the Chicago jersey, but Zeke was from Chicago. Yeah, you was one of those.
Yep, we love Zeke and Mike for sure.
Yeah. I'm from Michigan, so you know I was here. You know, everybody rooting for the bad boys, but hey. Isaiah Thomas couldn't quite fly through the air like MJ, so I didn't care. I was rooting for the Bulls.
But you gotta give Isaiah his props because he beat all the best. He beat Magic, he beat Larry, and he beat Mike.
He
beat everybody.
Zeke is the man. But I did some content on him just recently because he was talking about in his interview with Shannon Sharp. He was talking about how welfare broke up his family. And he said it. He talked about exactly what you just said about how, you know, you couldn't have a man in the house if you were going to receive welfare. But he also talked about how his dad was a hardworking person who believed in education, believed in all that. They were just working poor. They were just some working poor people who could come up and get a little more food if they took welfare. But if they took welfare, he had to be out of the house. Yeah. And he said that caused a rift, that caused some tension between his mom and dad. Now, the thing that was interesting to me is that he talked about when Bobby Knight was coming recruiting Isaiah Thomas, and he said while Bobby Knight was sitting down in the chair talking to him, it was a huge roach crawling just behind Bobby Knight's head on the wall. So I'm like, you got the man out the house, you got welfare, but guess what? You're still poor. So you could have been poor, but been an actual family, or you could be poor still, but have, you know, some government cheese. I mean, it was a weird thing. So I feel like it was still choice. You know, they made we talk about it like they use welfare to specifically attack and break up the black family, which some Democrats probably did think, we give them this welfare. They're going to put them, they're going to think they're getting the benefit, but they're going to be disadvantaged by accepting this benefit. But we're the ones that's giving, we're cutting them with a knife so we can sell them a bandage, but they're going to have to keep coming back for the bandage. So that's how we're going to get their votes. Exactly. So yes, it could have been some diabolical stuff going on in their head, But at the end of the day, I always fall back on it was choices that people made. You know, the drugs. I talked to somebody on this show about the drugs that got flooded into the community. And when we traced it back, we found out that, okay, the CIA was got some drugs from Colombia, sold the drugs to the mob, the mafia, the mob, whatever, distributed the drugs wherever, however. I mean, but at the end of the day, choices were made. You're talking about businesses not being in the community. A lot of that can come down to some choices. I mean, yes, there were barriers and obstacles that we as a collective, I hate when people use that word because they use that word to try to take away from individual choices, but as a collective, it's hurdles and barriers that we failed to leap over. Put it like that.
True.
But that I'll probably get into that more with information, man. Tomorrow I did want your take on Chicago. I don't like it when especially Black men, I mean, yes, it's good to know the history, but I do want us to get to a place where we don't dwell on it. We're trying to move forward. What do we got to do today to get things right? That's where I do like to focus the conversation a little more. But and most of the Black manosphere is with that. You know, you go to a lot of the pro-Black channels, they like to stay back in that past and talk about everything that was done wrong to us, and nowhere near as much about what's available, what opportunity we got right now to get this thing, on the right track. You know, this talk about white people, white supremacists. I'll be brief on this, but I always bring up how they practically trying to give the country away. They're making, the Democrats are making policies that's going to have white people. That's why they indirectly just shooting themselves in the foot. They're making immigration policies, all kind of stuff that's going to have themselves, minorities in this country in, I think, 25 to 30 years. So this thing is up for grabs, and we need to grab our piece of this American pie. But that's what the last thing I'll say about that. Another interesting thing that we brought up, and we was talking about, well, no, somebody already asked you that question that I was going to ask you. They asked you about the NOI women, and you said that, yeah, the Nation of Islam women are on point and conduct themselves quite well. And but far as you dabbled into the whole Black Israelite aspect of it. I forgot if you said you were just full-blown card carrying Black Israelite, but far as those women, it was something that you said before, where those women, they kind of like the typical Black Christian woman who will say some of the right things but still conduct themselves no different from any other chick. They're basically closeted Christians that just walk around with their head covered every now and then, but they still no different. Go ahead and expand on that. What did you mean by that? That they're just a bunch of closeted Christians?
Yeah. At the end of the day, they're, from my experience, the ones I've run into are no different than the church goers. At the end of the day, with any rare exceptions, they really think a man is supposed to bend over backwards. They really don't want to serve. That whole submission piece, they have a whole lot to say about it instead of just doing it. In the Hebrew text, it's pro-polygyny. Most so-called Hebrew Israelite women are against that. So basically, what I find with females who pick up a Bible, they disagree with most of it, and only going to go with what they feel things should be. I've heard a woman say, Adam and Eve weren't polygynous, and that's just to discount everybody else who came after them. So they'll come up with all type of ideas and thoughts and rhetoric to try to actually push against the biblical text. So it's rare to find a woman who is, first of all, submitted to the scriptures, let alone to a man. So when a woman starts telling you she has problems with the scriptures, then that should be a problem in itself if you're claiming to believe in such said scriptures. So again, that's very reminiscent of the Christian church. They look at things in the scripture as being old and outdated and not for them. And, I've heard women say, a man can't do this without her permission. And I'm like, wow, where do you get that in the book? So from my
Hey,
experience,
hold on, I gotta push the timeout. There's a brother who I respect, not taking shots at him. He came on my program. We was talking about marriage and women and black women and being submissive to the black man that they're with. And he basically said, I forgot how he worded it. He said, my wife, she gives me permission to lead her, or something like that. Or yeah, it was bad. It caused the whole I thought about clipping it and just making a separate video of that conversation, but I respect the brother. So I didn't want to de facto clown him, because I do got respect for the brother, but he said his wife gives him permission to lead. And I asked him a question. Okay, well, what happens when she no longer permits your leadership? When she takes that permission away, seeing as it's contingent upon her granting you some power or something like that. I mean, it was a doozy.
Rough out here, man.
Yeah, that conversation is lost in like in a 5-hour live stream, and I'm gonna leave it there. I was about to unearth it and clip it, but nah, I'm just gonna leave it. If somebody want to dig through the abyss and find it, they can find it. But I'm gonna leave it there. But shout out to that brother. I do respect him. Me and him did a one-on-one. He's a smart brother. He got a lot to bring to a lot of these conversations. But yeah, he made a sharp left turn on us right there. But yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, man. So I haven't seen much of a difference in their way of thinking versus the Christian women. So it's all a facade. And from my experience, again, it's the Christian woman that would debate you day and night about what a wife is supposed to be and what a husband is supposed to be. And I've heard, women go into certain scriptures and say, take what it's not saying to say what they wanted to. I mean, it's just all over the place. It's just a fight. And in my experience, those have been the most disagreeable women to deal with, period, whether she calls herself a Hebrew Israelite woman or she's a churchgoer. Those have been, in my experience, the most difficult women to be around, because just to say it this way, it's like they play games with the book. Either it is saying this or it isn't saying this, and people have a problem with the book in and of itself. It's a lot of brutal things in there, and instead of just saying, "Hey, this is the book that I believe in," they want to try to justify what's there, and shouldn't.
Right on. Another question that I came up with while we were talking, it was something that you were mentioning something. This was something a while ago I heard you talking about. I'll preface the question this way, because I do think families actually matter. When we talk about all the areas where Black people are not performing, one thing that is consistent is that Black people who came from intact families statistically do well. And there's some data that suggests that you're better off being born Black into a marriage. And this may be slightly outdated. It was like 10 years ago when I heard someone saying this, even though I can look up a lot of different things independently and see that, okay, Black children born into an intact family grow up and tend to turn out this well. Even white people born to a white single mama don't turn out quite as well, So it's still data that suggests that you're better off being born Black into an intact family than to be born white to a white baby mama in this country. And that says something. So, I got to average into the equation that families matter. But when you talk a lot about the modern woman and how she isn't socialized into being that and being that type of woman.
Yes.
She ain't socialized into it. She may very well not be may not be hardwired for it. Who knows? It's so many different factors into it. A culture does not promote it. It's so many things working against it. But I think everybody can look and see that, okay, yeah, families, two people getting together, man and woman getting together, committing to each other, is the best way to raise productive Black people. We want to talk about building the Black community. The underrated aspect of building is the people you build. You got to build up the people that's going to march straight and do the right thing. And that's not happening. So even though it's bleak, even though the community maybe, I don't know if it's in flames, but somebody has already poured the gasoline and they sitting there with the match in their hand, waving it around, about to throw it. So but what I just described, I think it is the right answer for actual strong Black families to be together, even though the chances of that happening may be bleak. I'm willing to go down with the ship saying giving that answer, that's the right answer.
I agree with you.
And so that whole thought process brings me to something that you talked about before, where you was talking about what type of woman in this modern day age is even suitable or worthy for a guy who got it together, who got his head on straight, for him to even try to live out what I just described as the right answer to a question. What type of woman? Explain how does that woman even look? How does she act? What does it even look like in this modern time? Because I know you would say that it's few and far between when it comes to a woman who, in terms of how she conducts herself, how she I'm sure body count going to come into this question. All that can get wrapped up in it. So yeah, I think I gave you a lot to chew on there. So go ahead and
So I would just like to land back. I would just like to land back on what you said about the importance of family. TV personality, community TV personality host named Mark says this, and I agree. I would like to see nothing more than melanated men and women coming together in families, living in clean, safe neighborhoods with excellent schools. Imagine that. Imagine being able to walk down the street with your 4 or 5-year-old on the way to school, your wife taking your child to school, walking in a community that has no crime, fully employed people, Black-owned businesses, intact families, great teachers, police officers that are part of the community. That is a beautiful thing. I would love to see that event or those events take place. So let me say that that's first and foremost. The nuclear family is a beautiful thing. It doesn't matter if monogamy or polygyny is your thing. Men and women together, clean, safe neighborhoods with excellent schools, raising their children is the best way to conduct oneself in a civilized society, and the best way to strengthen a community. Again, always remember, as we know, out of two people comes a family, out of a family comes a community, out of a community comes a nation. So the base of every nation is its community, base of every community is the men and women who are involved together. So that is a must. If you want to make a community a dysfunctional one, where do you begin? You begin with male and female. You make that situation dysfunctional because that is the foundation of a society itself. The foundation of any society is the male and the female. So you disrupt that, then you disrupted the whole society. So what we have here today are men, by and large, because I think I live in a different world. Sure, you have Thuggo, but one thing that the B-Dub does is that she looks at Thuggo when she's old and says, okay, that's not a good man. However, a vast majority of men that I know are honest, hardworking men who would love to have beautiful, loyal wives. And I don't mean beautiful in the fact that she has to be a 10 or a 9 or even an 8 or even a 7 or 6. A lot of guys I know are great guys. They're men who would love to have a beautiful woman in their life. A lot of guys I know who are married to Becky and Marisol. The question now is that when you look out today and you see the behavior of the typical Western female, the question then is she fit to reap the benefits of all of your hard work? You writing a term paper in high school, you going to college and writing a term paper, you staying out of trouble, you staying out of the prisons, you're on the right track, you're working hard, you getting up even when you're tired to go to work, even when you're tired to go to the gym, you go into the store, you stand on the outer section of the store where all the good produce is. You a man who has sacrificed and made great decisions, and now you can enjoy the fruits of your labor by having some money in your pocket and being a productive citizen and member of society. And then to take all of that hard work, because we know, man, that being a melanated man, that it's 10 times as hard to be productive than the next man. We understand that. So you're going to take all of that and try to make a wife out of an arrogant, entitled, bad attitude having and promiscuous female, and you want to call that a wife who's talking about bringing a bag to the table, who's talking about materialism, talking about Birkin bags. She's not talking about raising families. She's not talking about having her kids go to great schools. She's talking about riding a Mercedes Benz and getting her nails done and her hair done, the Birkin bag, and the red bottom shoes. She's not about investing. She's not about the science of raising a family. She's not about taking care of the children, eating organic foods and, living naturally. She's not talking about that. That's not what she's about. She's about the material. She's about promiscuity. She's about cheating on her husband and having divorce parties. She's about being promiscuous, especially at the peak of her life, when she's in her 20s, when she's at the best, when she's the most attractive, the most moldable. She wants to take those best years, instead of dedicating that to raising a family. She wants to take her best years that she has, years that she would never get back. She wants to take the best years of her life and dedicate it to promiscuity. And then they want to blame it on her being younger, when Becky and Marisol and Mei-Ling are all getting married in their 20s. Then she'll look around at 35 and 40 and 45 and say it's your fault as to the reason why she's a single mother and not married. When in actuality, it's her who chooses to ride the carousel the longest, to stay in the streets the longest, to be promiscuous the longest, to not have the family, to be pro sister girl and get her education and be all about, dating this guy and that guy instead of actually having a family. Now, when she's older, weighs more, attitude the worse, couple of, cooties, where it shouldn't be. Now she's ready to be a wife. So a man is supposed to take that into his life, out of all of the sacrifices that he's made, all the things that he's accomplished. He's supposed to take his life force, his life energy, his hard work, and give it to her. And I believe that it's her that's the problem. And I can prove that because we know statistically that so-called melanated men get married more often, stay married longer. It's her who waits the longest to get married. And when she is married, she doesn't stay married long at all. She's at the bottom of the list. When you compare both genders and you compare the predominant races in America, here are some facts. Least likely to get married, gets married the oldest, and least likely to stay married. And that's more than her melanated counterpart. As men, stay married longer, get married more often. So it seems to me that the melanated man is about family and the melanated female is anti-family. And you ain't got to take my word for it. You can go to demographics, blackdemographics.com. You can go, there are many resources and sites that bear out what I'm saying. She really has the problem. And I think she is, besides white supremacy, I think she is the next biggest problem. Because again, your average guy is a decent, hardworking man. I ain't talking about thuggo in them. I'm not talking about thuggo in them. But your average guy is a decent, hardworking guy who wants a family and is able to take care of a family. But he's too short though, Bernard. He's 5'6". And the BW, now, most females like height, but the BW is the one who say, no, he's 5'6". I can't do it, girl. He's 5'5". I can't do it, girl.
You gotta be tall, girl.
You gotta be tall, girl.
Yeah.
The first to say that. And Obsidian makes this point. I think it was an article that talked about it. It was a female dating coach who said literally that she had to stop because they have the most unrealistic expectations ever.
Rebecca Lynn Pope. I forgot how many views her video is at, but it was she. I wouldn't be shocked if that thing didn't have over 1 million views at this point.
Oh,
but
yeah,
she
So it's her. She is literally the hardest person in the world to get along with, the most superficial, and the most promiscuous. And in talking to them, they'll say, no, it's Becky that's the most promiscuous. But remember, Becky gets married the earliest, right? And stays married longer. So, and remember, the B-dub, 50% of them have an incurable cootie, So it's a fact that she's the most promiscuous. It's a fact that she's at the bottom of the list. Now, I don't want her to be there. Don't get me wrong. I would like her to be at the top of the list. It was a time, as we've heard many, many times before, that instead of the least likely to get married, she was the most likely to be married and stay married. But those days are far gone. Would love to have those days back again. Remember my premise. I would like to see nothing more than us being in clean, safe neighborhoods with excellent schools and a nuclear family, raising our children to be the best they can be to compete against the rest of society. I would love that. But you have to separate what you would like things to be, the way that things should be, and substitute that and go with the way things are and adapt to that situation. So how do you deal with the modern promiscuous female? Catch and release, pump, and let her dump. And I feel bad for men who want families, because the odds are, if you knock her up, Bubba, you're going to be in child support court. You want to try to get your kid in joint custody. They don't really want to give you that. And it's very hard to get full custody. You're in for a treat. And just because she says she loves you today, her feelings can change tomorrow, because remember, she can't pair bond. Remember, she has a body count, more than Jason and Freddie and Michael Myers. So remember, she can't fall in love because she's been in love time and time again with Thuggo. And don't forget, infidelity with her is extremely high. In fact, they promote infidelity. I mean, look at all of the, female rappers and R&B singers talking about how great, the vajay is, and how they can throw it up and sunshine come out, and how they share with this man and that man and got this guy. So remember what you're getting into. So men who want family these days, you really have to look in the mirror and say, is it worth the risk? And guess what, gentlemen? The odds are, the stats are, that you will most likely fail having the BW as your wife. More likely than not, you will fail. Failure means divorce, child support, alimony, and a ruined relationship. Most likely you will fail. So what are you going to do? Are you going to adapt to the situation? Or are you going to live life with the rose-colored lenses and with the blinders on and just hope that, out of all of the men that ever existed on the planet Earth, that you'll be the first to make a housewife? So that's the thing.
All right. Corner Store Podcast in the building. He says, catching snippets of the conversation live, but can't wait to watch the playback. Salute, brother. Salute to you, Corner Store Podcast. David Johnson came in the building, came through. He's in the building. He says, get him, Ram. Salute. Catch and release that bish.
Exactly, David.
Jive Turkey in the building. What's up, and salute to you. He says, here to support the homie Ram. What's good, BR? Sounds like he's talking about your girl. Shout out to Jive Turkey. Appreciate you. All right, man. What else we got? I think we're gonna open it up. I don't know how much time you got. You can go to about 12 noon. I figure we
I got about another 30. I can do another 30 minutes.
Okay, cool, perfect. All right, I'll open it up. People want to come up. We ain't doing no wild, wacky, crazy panel. Y'all can come up and ask the good brother Professor Black Ram, some questions. I can come up for some questions. Then we ain't doing a wild wacky panel. Y'all know Black Ram don't get down like that. He don't get down like that. We ain't about to have a shootout up here with Ram. Y'all act like we got Black Ram in the house. Act like y'all got some sense today. But all right, we're gonna bring people up for questions. But as I wait for people to come up, I want to run this by you because I saw something. This was a couple months ago when I saw it. I did a little content on it. It was fascinating. It was a female content creator that lurks around here whose name I won't say, but some people know who I'm talking about. She did a stream a while back. Well, no. It wasn't a stream. She posted something in her community tab, and she was telling women that, hey, take your time with life, learn yourself, learn what you like, learn how to, cook good meals for yourself. It wasn't sounding horrible, but she was like, learn how to establish yourself for yourself, learn how to manage and budget your bills for yourself, get a house for yourself, get your own house, establish your career for yourself. She's basically saying get your career to the point where you're solid and you're steady and stable, own your own home, own your own this, own your own that, to where you got everything going. And then she said, experiment, find out what you like and how you like it and this or that. Basically, she was saying fully master adulthood by yourself, then go and get married, but only give children to your husband, which is a good thing, by the way. She went at that part at the end when she said only give children to your husband. But she was saying go and fully master adulthood first. Everything that would take the average Black woman or average woman in general up, early 30s before they get all that fully established to where they got a house, got everything fully just in pocket, savings and the money in the savings account, and they just operate in adulthood on autopilot. It takes you a lot of times until you get 30. Take a lot of men until they 30 before they get that fully mastered. Okay, so we talking early 30s. She was saying before you go to getting married and have kids. Get this: 2 months later, this same content creator asked the question on a stream, did a stream saying, well, is it wrong that if a woman makes it to her early 30s and she hasn't found a husband yet, is it wrong for her to just go ahead and just get pregnant while her biological clock is ticking? Is it wrong for her to go ahead and just find somebody who just to knock her up just so she can be a mother before it's too late? So I'm sitting there thinking, and you probably already figured out, she laid out a game plan for the life of a woman that would lead her to not getting married until she's about 32. And then 2 months later said, well, if a woman just so happens to make it to 32 without getting married, at that age, should she just go ahead and get pregnant by somebody? So given full creative control to plan out their life, they would end up a baby mama. She just laid out basically a feminist wet dream of a woman just going, accomplishing her goals while riding the carousel. And then after all that is said and done, either you give yourself like a 1 to 2 year window to find a husband. If not, just get pregnant and raise a kid by yourself, because after all, you put in all that work to be able to raise a kid by yourself. Given full creative control to plan out their life exactly how they would want it, they would still end up in the same place. What's your thoughts on that? And while you give your thoughts on that, we got Silent Lamont coming through in the building. What's going on, Silent? But go ahead, Black Ram, respond to that one, and then we'll swing it to Silent.
Salute to Lamont. Basically, in all of that time that she's getting his career together, what is she doing? She's dating and experimenting. The word experiment was actually I think the word experiment was in her what you said. Basically, so she said figure out what you like in a person and what you don't like in this or that. Basically, she was saying, ride the carousel and figure out who you want to, anyway. Go ahead. And that's proof positive that she waits the latest to actually be married.
Mm-hmm.
Why you can't work on that and be married, or why you can't be that person in your 20s? That's what Becky, Mei-Ling, and Marisol does. But she wants to wait the longest to get married because she feels like she's going to miss out on something. And what is she going to miss out on? Experiences with many different type of guys, and that's what it's all about. So now, after she had all her experiences, she becomes desperate for a baby and desperate for a husband because everybody else has children and a husband. Now she wants a man once she gets desperate. And here's the thing, gentlemen: do you want a woman at her peak or in her desperation? Desperation physically, baby rabies, don't look the same, don't look as good. You want a woman in her desperation. And what's sad to me is guys are actually taking this deal. They're taking her in her late 30s, early and late 30s, and wifing her up. You want her when she's desperate. I don't know about you guys, but it's not gonna work for me. Taking her when she's desperate, the most desperate. So by the time she got all that together and she's in her 30s, which probably is her mid 30s, and you know, her eggs are pretty much wrinkled up for the most part. And when it's the hardest to have children, because remember,
she got hard-boiled eggs by that point.
Exactly. She's high risk pretty much after she's 35. So you want to wait till you close or at high risk to start having children? Do you want that to be your wife?
You know, we like our women ran through over here, BR.
That's true. That's true. We like them ran through, right?
Yeah, go ahead, Silent. You got the floor, you got the mic.
First of all, Black Ram, bro, it's been some years, bro. What's good, man?
I'm good, brother. Good to see you, man. I know you come through the channel in the comment section and you know all of that. It's always good to see you, brother. It's my first time.
When are you going to set your rightful position as a sergeant at arms in the manosphere, bro?
I guess whenever I'm promoted to that position, right?
You know what I'm saying? Just tell them Silence sent you, bro. I've been on you for about 5 years of that, bro.
Appreciate
you got some young cats in the chat that don't know who Black Ram is, bro. Women are nasty, bro. Enough said.
That's the video that put me on, man. That's the video right there.
That shit was a classic, bro. She don't tell you that time she bouncing up and down in that pickup truck after the club, did she?
And why everybody like that, Lamont? Because we know it is 100% true. And when you look at it like that, you're like, man, this is my wife now. And we all go through it because we're not dealing with V, so we have to cope with the reality of that's what you're getting, and it's a terrible reality.
You buying that chick cheddar biscuits, man, loving her with all your heart, man.
Yep, absolutely.
I wanted to bring something to your attention because I was actually talking to some fellas about this, but I got a theory. So you guys were talking about microchimerisms earlier, right? You know, her carrying those essence of the many penetrations she's had, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I also have a theory that, are you familiar with the chemical called oxytocin?
Oh yeah, I did that when I talked about the video Body Count Matters. I talked about.
Of course you did. Great minds. My theory is also when you see the rise of sexual partners with women, also correlates with the rise in abuse of children, because she's actually also losing oxytocin, which for the layman is the chemical that when a woman breastfeeds her child, it's the chemical that allows her to bond with her child. So because she's having so much sex, she also is low on oxytocin. So now you have more women now who suffer from postpartum disorder and child abuse cases.
That is an excellent point, man. And there may be some correlation there for sure. That is an excellent point, man. Excellent point, because
they're not bonding with their children either, just like they're not bonding with men.
Exactly. Because she is not designed, and it's always going to be dysfunctional. She's not designed to be promiscuous. It's just not, that's not her design. And we know she's not designed that because she's born with all the eggs that she'll ever have. You, my friend, you can have children from puberty until death. And if your death comes at 150 years old, you can have a baby. You can produce a kid out of you.
And I promise, BR, I will do my part, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who is this guy in here, man? Who's this guy with this New York hat on, man?
In the building, Oheen and Mara in the building. What went on? What is up?
Chilling.
Who is that cat? I don't know this guy right here. Who is this guy?
Yeah, I just had to get on, man, and just say I disagree with what Black Ram is talking about, bro.
You would.
I just met a lady. She's 37 years old, right? She got like 3 degrees. She got 3 college degrees, right? She basically told me, I don't have to worry about her past because what's important is what's happening now. You know what I'm saying? She likes to go out a lot of girl night out, and she likes to travel outside the country. And she got a couple of male friends, but she says I should not worry about that. So
why would you worry about that, Oheen?
Exactly. So that's
right. Don't be insecure. Right?
She told me I'm the only one that make her feel things, and I'm special. So I'm just calling up here, you know, just because I disagree with what Ram's talking about, bro.
Yeah, man, you special, man. Come on, man. Come on, believe in you.
Yeah, that's what she told me, bro. So I got to go with that, Ram. I got to go.
Did she tell you were the best? Did she say you were the best?
She said I was the best, man. She said I was the best. You know
and you know that's true because it's 2020. Believe all women, player.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong. There's a guy that comes and pick her up in the morning for work and stuff, but you know, she told me that
that's her cousin.
Yeah,
that's just the Uber player. That's just the Uber, man.
Exactly. They're just friends. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I came home one time and he was there, but he was, you know, he just needed to use the bathroom, and you know, so
somebody got to fix her safe, man.
Weird smell in the air behind that. that was nothing. That's just your imagination.
Exactly, man.
Your girl would never do that, right? So let me get this straight. You have the one good girl on the planet, then, huh?
I think I do. Not you know, my girl wouldn't do the things that you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? She's different. She's different.
Never.
Hey, you know, like my man T Grizzly says, sugar and salt look the same, man.
Look at my man Emo Perry, he dying. You know what I'm saying?
Your girl would not do that. Neither would mine. That's everybody else, girl.
Yeah.
Shout out to New in the building. He says Oheen just found that good one. I mean, you've known her a whole 24 hours, so you know she wouldn't lie to you. So,
exactly. I met on a dating site. You know, and her profile said that she's tired of playing games. That she, you know, she's ready for something real. Now, don't get me wrong. She got 2 kids by 2 different dudes, but those were mistakes.
And it's in the past.
Yeah, and it's in the past, and she's ready to do it right now. You know what I'm saying? She got a lot of college debt. You know, she got a lot of college debt, you know, but we working out a plan so I can help her pay it back. You know what I'm saying? You know, so that's how
you are a great guy, man. So you know what? you know what you must be? You must be the man that God has sent to it in. That's what it is. You want that God got for, right? Okay. Perfect.
Yo, shout out to the crypto gang family. Oh my Jesus. Y'all watching these markets?
Mm-hmm. It's been popping on my feed all day, every day.
Yeah, Sonny sent me an email. Like I told you, I'm late to the party on all of that, but I'm trying to get into it. He sent me some information that I'm getting to. I probably was about to contact you on it as well, Oheen. But so yeah, I'm definitely about to show up late to the party on all of that. I'm getting the info together right now. But yeah, I hear it's going crazy.
Crazy
right now.
I will say on one thing, BR, that I had to disagree with you on. Well, halfway. There is this notion that all women are not like that, and I disagree. And I'll preface it by this. I'll say all women may not do it, not pull the trigger, but they're all like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can. That's probably the best way to word it. The way I always said it when it comes to female nature and everything is on a bell curve. If you understand how a bell curve works, most people wind up in the middle, and then as it goes down, you get smaller quantities that fit in the categories at the edges. You know, rather the edge is extremely bad behavior or extremely good behavior. But most people is, you know, most people are distributed in a certain area. So when it comes to women, these modern women doing the modern things that modern women do. Yeah, I do think most of them do fall in the middle. Most of them will go left on you. I mean, even if things are looking good and things are looking right, there's the propensity to go left, and virtually, I'll say virtually all of them. But it's different levels to the going left, you know. So that's the way I have always looked at that. But no, you are never just free and clear, just in cruise control, blindfolded, you know, to where you could just relax. You that relaxed, self-driving car. You never that relaxed behind the wheel with a woman. Like, no, you never that relaxed.
I see the average guy kind of lives like by code, like Jason Statham in The Driver. You know what I'm saying? Like men just have some sort of built-in code, whereas I see women, their code is really based entirely on circumstance.
Yeah, let me just respond to that. The only reason why I preface it by not saying every single one, for one reason only, just for the simple fact that leaving some leg room, because I haven't met everyone on the planet. I try to base things off my experiences. And since I don't know all, I can't say all, but that's the only reason. That's more of a belief of mine based off my faith. I can't say all because I don't know every single person on earth. I never met every female on the planet. So I leave, that's more of a personal thing. Do I think the nature is universal? Yes, but I have to leave that room up because to me, I think I'll be intellectually dishonest if I say every single one because I don't know every single one. But we don't have to know every single one. What we see every day is good enough. The world that we live in and what we can observe day to day is good enough.
I think what it is that people are only as good as their options. So I think what the greatest gift that we could have ever been given is the female movement, right? Because what it has shown us is now that they have options, they are starting to show you who they really are. The behaviors and the activities that they are engaged in, they've always had the capacity to do it. It's just that they've never had the permission to do it. Because if you look at the women of the past, the penalties were great. You had great penalties for being, for cheating or infidelity or having extramarital affairs. A woman can end up poor, broke. The community would shun her. Society would shun her. So the penalties were too great for that type of behavior, which is why you did not see this type of activity, before the 60s and things like that. But now that being promiscuous is celebrated, you're going to see who they really are. And that's why I think this is the greatest time to be alive, because now you understand the true nature of those individuals. And I think when you're looking at third world countries, right, the reason you are more likely to get an agreeable female in those situations is because poverty is the motivator for them to behave in a certain way. So if you show up and you have the ability to provide and take care, even if it's just a little more than what she already has, she's going to comply. But if you put her in this position, if you bring her to the Western world and you see, and you let her run loose here, she's going to be just like every other female in this particular area. So that's why I think this movement of theirs is the greatest thing in the world, because you get to see who they really are.
Right on. Black Caesar in the building. He says, when are we going to see the Chirac tandem, Minister Jap and BlackRam313? I don't know if BlackRam is there. I think he may have stepped away. He can answer that.
Oh, no, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, you can go ahead and answer that one.
That would be a beautiful thing, man. I definitely know who he is. I'm subscribed to him. I believe he's subscribed to me as well. We might have to put that together one day.
Yeah, that'll definitely be epic. Dexter Tugwell Motivation says, Oheen found a unicorn. You're a lucky man, Oheen. Lucky man.
Yeah.
But without further,
when y'all see Jap, ask him the same question now, so we can put something together.
Can I give a little bit of pushback from my man Oheen?
Yeah, go ahead. Then we got to go to info man after that. But go ahead.
Hey, I'll make it quick. I will agree with him, and then also it's the socialization, because we also have this notion that everywhere that ain't America is just this dirty backwoods, dirty woods. There's a lot of the world that's first world. You know, America kind of, you know, tricks you into thinking that everything else is just the third world, you know. But a lot of these women are also just socialized different. They don't have that Americanized concept that we have, kind of a money first kind of individualism concept. These other people come from cultures where, you know, it's all about family. You know, it's, you know, they have families who grow up living in a home, you know, together, because that's just, they're about family. So it's not necessarily just the poverty. It's just you're getting into a different type of woman. A lot of these women, I said it before, you run across, you know, when you go overseas and meet them, these are professional, highly educated, very beautiful women, and they're humble because that's just who they are socialized to be. You know, we're here, we socialize our women to twerking streets.
All right, gotta go to the good brother information man, and I like how you got the backdrop right there with the city and all. That look pretty cool, and I like how they say Black Fathers Matter. I'm liking what I'm seeing on the screen right there. I don't even know how you did that on StreamYard. I don't even understand that. But anyway, you got the flow, you got the mic. You got the flow, you got the mic.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you. You know, Brother Riley, I'm looking forward to our discussion tomorrow. Let me say much respect to Brother Black Ram. I've followed his work for a number of years. A brother, I like the way he puts things. He says things very matter-of-factly. You can tell he's well-researched, well-spoken brother that just puts it out there, and you take it for what it is. One of the things I want to bring up, and I think Black Ram may or may not agree with me, is that when you talk about examining the female nature or the BFs, because I know YouTube's got all these little tricky things with words now.
Yeah.
You can first get your first study of the BF nature, and I'm sorry, brothers, this is just the facts, by watching your mama.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Now, y'all don't want to deal with that now, but I will.
Hey, we standing in it today, bro.
Hey, just real quick before you get going, I just did a one-on-one with the good brother Xavier from the Prophet of Thought series, and y'all know he be going in on them old mamas, as he says. So yeah, that was definitely a good one. You want to check that one out if you didn't see it. It's probably, I think that was my last. No, it was one before last. The last one was with Judge Zilla. That was on Sunday when I was with brother Xavier. So definitely check that one out. But go ahead, info.
Can I add to that?
Uh-oh. Oh yeah, it's a chapter in your book.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did that say? We couldn't tell what that said right there. What did that say?
It said,
put it up again.
Yes, your own mother is an accomplice. Yes.
Right on. All right,
yes, your mama was that Freaknik.
Come on, man. They can't handle that one. But go ahead, info man. You got it.
I just believe that you can. This is everything that's happening today is not new. If you look at and examine your mother and the women in your family, your aunts, all of them have displayed these behaviors in different ways based on their generation. Now, of course, the older generation, there was a time when if a woman carried herself a certain way, Black Ram would agree with this, that there was a punishment, there was a community punishment for women sort of getting out of themselves. We've lost that because you've taken the male out of the family, which was part of the systematic structure to destroy the black family. However, your choices can cause a ripple effect down the line that puts us in a situation that we're in. Now, this is one of the things I want to point towards Brother Black Ram. He talked about the BF being the most promiscuous or the most, out there compared to maybe other women. This is where I disagree, brother. This is where I disagree only in this small portion. I have, being in college and growing up, I just turned 51 years old last week. White women and other women in general are promiscuous overall. Would you agree with that overall, that women are very promiscuous?
Oh yeah, overall, definitely.
Okay.
But I think what you see in the B-Dub is that she is more because she stays so the longest. Remember,
right?
He waits the longest. This guy's too short to marry. This guy ain't cool enough. He ain't swag enough. This guy too goofy. Mei Ling and them and the Snow Bunny and them, You know, she's going to get married at 22, 23, 24, 25. She's going to be on her third kid by the time she's 32 years old. The BW going to have kids, but they're going to be with different guys, and it's, you know, she's still going to be unmarried. So she stays promiscuous the longest, which I'm thinking makes her more promiscuous. Now, don't get me wrong, the Snow Bunnies, they doing it all in college, but that's pretty much where it stops. Because the BW, she has to have a club years too.
Okay.
You know.
This is the reason why I believe that the Snow Bunnies are able to do it for a certain period of time and move away from it, because the difference between black women or BFs and Snow Bunnies is that Snow Bunnies still have a society that will back their play, and they have a society that is in their favor versus a BF who does not have a society that backs her play. For example,
I was just about to say, what do you mean?
I'm going to explain by what I'm saying. We know in this society that white women or Snow Bunnies benefit greatly from affirmative action programs. So they get a benefit from all the things that have been afforded or been given to the black community through civil rights or what have you. So what I noticed growing up is that the Snow Bunnies, they go to college, they'll mess around with black guys, the athletes, they'll up and down, you know, get on the carousel, do their thing. And in their society will say, well, that's just Becky expressing herself. And that Becky can still go back to white society and get the job, get the opportunities, because when white youth do things, white society will just say that's a phase that they're going through, and white society will still back their play into getting back into mainstream white society and being a success and being a businessman, a businesswoman. You got many white women who were sluts in college, who were doing all sorts of things, and they're in Washington D.C. as congresswomen. There are all sorts of things. And
I don't think nobody has ever argued that being promiscuous in college will stop you from getting a job later on. I don't think that was anybody's argument.
But what I'm saying is, when black women, we already had, I think Jason Black last night broke down the numbers. Black women, when they go to school and get college education, they're still not doing any better than white women economically at all. The numbers are there. You can find that on Black Enterprise. The numbers are there. They're not doing well. So even when black women are doing this promiscuous stuff and they get the education, society is still not opening up the avenues for them to make the kind of money that the white counterpart will make to sustain themselves. So
yeah, that's because there's not a lot of money in esthetician degrees or degrees in drafting from ITT Tech.
Right. And a lot of times women, especially black women, tend to go into fields that don't generate a lot of capital. It's all this humanities, stuff like that. But I would say it's basically
money that they get to go to school for free because they have kids. So they go to school as a source of income.
Right. But I would say this, agreeing with everybody on the panel, black women, BFs, and we've heard this, they have very unrealistic expectations as to what they want in a man. You're right, Black Ram. They judging you by how tall you are, how you this and that. It's like, this is the thing that's crazy. As a black man, we have to be all these damn things to our women. We have to be great lovers. We got to be tall. We got to be muscular. We got to be funny. We got to be charismatic. We got to protect you. I don't know if there's any man in society that's asked to be so many things, Bernard.
And you still ain't shit.
Exactly.
Let's not forget that. Right. You all that, and you still ain't shit.
Let's get a response from Black Ram on everything that Info Man laid out. Go ahead, Black Ram. You got it.
Yeah. Information Man. And salute to you, brother. Always good to see you, man. And
thank you.
I would concur, brother. I would definitely agree. And those college years, your average American female is indeed very promiscuous for sure. And you're right, they do have a society that promotes more of them getting married and not being on the carousel as long, because she will be shamed if she's 34, 35 years old and single, not married, and have no children. She'll feel extremely depressed about that. When on the other hand, the BW, because of her subculture that she lives in, her sister girl culture, they would actually, promote the fact that she's waiting, so long to get married and have kids. In fact, they celebrate when they divorce. You've heard of the divorce parties. I first heard, I'm not saying that other people don't do it, but I first heard that from the BW. She celebrates a divorce from her husband. She actually celebrates a broken family. So we don't really hear about that. So she is extremely anti-family. Again, as I talked about earlier, there are outside forces and inside forces that makes this conducive to her liking, or so to speak, or makes it so it's easier for her to do. True enough. However, like Mariah Riley said, it comes down to choices as well. So she chooses to be promiscuous versus having a family. And when she does choose to have a family, she does it the latest. And she's more likely to divorce and break up than anyone else. And let's not forget that you have all of these, I want to call them micro marriages. I mean, your average female, by the time she's 35, 40, done had 3 or 4 guys that lived with her, long-term relationships, short-term relationships. So I have to say, man, she is the queen of breakups and going to the next guy. Typically, from what I see with the, non-melanated women, they're not going to have too many live-ins. And if they do have a live-in, it's going to be within the marriage. But she's going to have all of these micro marriages going all the way up until she say, okay, what now? A man has to marry me to pay for what everybody else got for free. And I think that's the frustration you see on the behalf of a lot of men with these particular women. And here go the thing, Information Man, you know this, and Melon Lightman, you know this, Silent Lamont, you know this, Bernard. She complains the most, right? But she also about men, right? But she knows. I'm talking about within sisterhood, they know that they are the worst. They know that. It's not like a secret to them. They'll tell you all day that, yeah, girl, I couldn't keep him because of my attitude. Yeah, girl, my mouth too reckless. Yeah, girl, I ain't settling for this. Now you settle for thuggo, right? But now all of a sudden you're 35. Now your options are greater than it was when it was 25.
Man,
so
that shit should make you bust out laughing, man.
And they know this.
Well, Black Ram, let me give a solution before I get ready to get off. I really appreciate this conversation from all you brothers, and Brother Riley providing this type of content for us. And I know that what I'm about to say may be unrealistic because, people are going to do what they're going to do. But Black man, stop putting your you-know-what in these women that are not worthy of you. Stop it. Stop it. Stop creeping late at night. I know we all want some booty, but don't do it. And vet these women properly if you're going to marry them. If you even think marriage is an option, stop it, Black man.
But I thought, honestly, though, I thought that's what those women were for practice. I mean,
practice. Huh?
Yo, if I could add to that, practice. If I could add to that, I think one of the biggest.
What the hell was that?
Laughter. Man.
You got a laugh track over there. Hey, I'm trying to get on your level with that.
I'm serious about what I'm saying, but I know realistically we're gonna have cats out here that's still gonna be creeping with these females that are unworthy.
Yeah, I'm thinking that one of the biggest issues, the biggest issues that keeps the BW with the stigmas and the positions that they are currently in is that most of the things that they do are done with ill intent, right? So it would be one thing if the BW wanted to be educated because she wanted to get a better station in life. But usually her education is based on her dream of being able to tell Black men that you ain't ish. I got an education. I don't need a man. And, all of these other things. That's her ultimate goal. And then, of course, that fails because now they're in $1.8 trillion worth of school debt, right? Because what she is doing is based on ill intent. It's not designed to help the community. It's not designed to improve her station. It's not designed to build something with an equal or greater partner. None of that stuff is designed like that. And then, of course, her financial appetites. She's trying to live a life that she can't afford. So she's telling you to buy her a Birkin bag. She's telling you to buy her red bottom shoes. She wants you to buy all of these name brand things. But right now, while we sitting here, you already know the hashtag crypto gang. We're seeing all kinds of gains in the market. But most men that are with women, they can't even let her know that they're doing that because she doesn't approve of that. She would rather that you buy her materialistic items that ultimately have no value. So all of the things that she does is based with ill intent. And that is why I think on every level she is failing. That's my belief anyway.
All right. We passed the 3-hour mark, so I do got to thank everybody for coming through. I do got to pass it to Black Ram to get the last words in, but don't forget me and Info Man tomorrow at 9 a.m. probably 9:05. A little bit of CP time. I think I'm just gonna start setting it at 9:05 to give myself that extra 5 minutes to be late. But yeah, so make sure y'all come in tomorrow to check that one out. So we're gonna pass it to Black Ram. He's gonna take us home, take us out of here on your parting shots, your parting words on this. Any last thing you want to say? Pick it up wherever you want to. You got it.
Oh yeah, man. This real pill sector that we in, myself with Mel Enlightenment Television, of course, we doing this work yourself, Bernard Riley, Silent Amount Information Man. Just to the audience out there, man, we are here for you guys. This is a brotherhood, and it's a place where we come to strengthen each other, man, because it is a war out there, man. And in the words of New Jack City with Nino Brown, and we all we got. So I'm real big on brotherhood. I'm real big on brothers building each other up. So you check out my channel. That's what I'm about. I'm about, pulling up veil off guys' eyes about these females, and I'm about brotherhood. So that's first and foremost. And I like to thank Bernard Riley, the man, for inviting me on his show to chop it up with you guys. And I see my brother Mel Enlightenment Television is in the house, and we have our show every Sunday, either my channel or his channel, called The Real Peel Perspective. We chop up game over there, and hopefully we can have Bernard Riley on again, as well as Information Man and Silent Amount. First time hearing you speak, brother. I've seen you all these years in the comments section. So salute to you, brother. And
hey, no doubt, brother, no doubt.
Absolutely. And yeah, that's it for me, man. Check out the channel, and it's always a pleasure to be here amongst intelligent brothers, man. I'm always thankful for this space because I've been wanting this all my life, man. It's a place where intelligent brothers can come and converse without the BS. And yeah, we can disagree, but just being around men who have something on their mind besides dysfunction, man, and we can build together. It's a beautiful thing, man. I'm just happy and blessed to be here amongst you brothers. It's my privilege to be here.
Right on.
Hey, before he go, we gotta say, Ram, bro, you cannot be a stranger around these parts, bro. Real talk.
You know what? I work in the morning, man. So, it's hard to catch Bernard Riley. And then on my off days, I'm so busy running errands and, trying to make Patreon videos. So it's rare I have to catch the replays. So I would love it, man. And like, for instance, Brother X want me to come do an interview, but, Brother X goes on at night. I'm up 3 a.m. in the morning getting ready to go to work. So,
wow.
I'm at work while Bernard is on. And then I want to do stuff late at night. Can't because, I got to get up super early. So my stressful work schedule keeps me from doing this. I wish I could be a full-time YouTuber. Maybe one day that'll work for me, but for now, I gotta go to work, man. So it's rough.
I just know you're untapped in here, and just listening to the chat, there's way too many people who listen to this show who has not even heard of your name.
Wow.
So yeah. Oh, wow. So hey, BR will drop your stuff, man. If you fellas don't know about Black Ram, if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah, drop that link one more time, moderators. Drop it in there right at the buzzer. And speaking of at the buzzer, the Rollo Show channel came through with a super chat right at the buzzer. He says, salute to the men on the platform. Unfortunately, most black men are last in Vex observation. And what's worse, black men not noticed odd behavior. He's so simping. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. I'd like to thank everybody who came through here, who hit the super chat, who hit the cash app, everybody who liked, shared, subscribed, or participated in the program in any way, shape, or form. I definitely appreciate you. I'm waiting on somebody real quick at the buzzer to drop. There it is. Info did it. Drop. Make sure you go subscribe to BlackRam313. Make sure you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not already subscribed to that, brother. But and Laro, by the way, Laro, you was I gotta steal Black Ram and Male Enlightenment's TV verbiage here. You were a sponsor today, man. You came through on the super chat. Yeah, you were definitely a sponsor today. You sent like $250 super chats. So this show today was brought to us by Laro. Definitely paid everybody's way today, man. We appreciate you. So with that said, fellas, we are getting up out of here. Peace.